on YouTube on Warchant TV. Thanks for that too. Doff the cap to all of you guys. You know what, Tom? I woke up this morning, buddy, and I was in a good mood. I just thoroughly enjoyed playoff baseball yesterday. But I woke up thinking about hockey. Hence the shirt.
Really?
I woke up thinking about hockey. The Noles have driven me to think about hockey before the season starts. I'm already thinking about. By the way, nice sweatshirt. You can go ahead and put the camera back on yourself there. That's pretty good. There you go.
Thank you very much.
That's pretty good.
There you
and
go.
It's true, like you said, had they not made the playoffs, you wouldn't be able to wear it. It would just be a keepsake.
I would wear it, but it would be kind of an ironic thing rather than, a celebration thing.
Right.
And now, hey, man, now you're starting to look ahead. And
well, you've got your pitching lined up, so it worked out all right.
Right. Yeah. If you could take advantage of today, then you get 2 off days and you're all set with the Phillies. I mean, got to win today, though.
Not often that I go to the questions in the chat early in the show. I usually don't have them up. But P. Simpson made me laugh right off the bat. Jeff, if FSU beats Clemson, will you sing We Didn't Start the Fire with Corey on the next headlines? I will, if he'll agree to it. What's funny about this is that, the reason P. Simpson asked the question, if you guys didn't hear that episode years ago, I think that's probably one of the worst songs ever written and one of the worst songs ever made. It's historically awful in the same sort of way that We Built This City is. By Jefferson Starship, or Starship as they were known at the time. It's akin to that. That's how bad that song is.
Well, what do they build it on, though?
Rock and roll, of course.
Oh,
yeah.
That could be catchy.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's the whole thing, buddy.
You can also get the Billy Joel game going.
Oh, what's the matter? I forgot about the Billy Joel game. And the old studio was better because we didn't have the winds. The wind.
Well, they were smaller.
They were smaller.
So you could get the pull. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, so since we last talked, let's go straight here. Since we last had a chance to talk, we now know, we now 100% know that Brock Glenn is going to start. The last time you and I talked on the air together, or even me and the boys yesterday on headlines, it wasn't, I guess, official. It is now, obviously, with the injury to DJ and Brock taking all the reps with the ones, is going to be the starter for the game against Clemson. And, there's a couple ways to look at that. The first one is that there could be a sigh of relief. You could say to yourself, well, good, because I couldn't watch any more of DJ playing quarterback for this group. I just couldn't do it. It was burning my eyes out. It was impossible. There would be so many moments where I either, if I was there, would be on the cusp of screaming down onto the field, or if I was at home watching it, I wanted to throw something because of how late everything is and how slow he is, and just awful, awful, awful. Everything about this offense with him at the helm. It's not all his fault. We've said that 4,000 times. I feel like
I think you're blaming it all on DJ.
we feel so like the need, that caveat has to be so apologetic. But, I mean, I just want it to be known by new listeners. I don't blame him for everything. But I'm also not one of those people who feels the need to race over to his aid when the criticism comes, hailing down, because he has sucked. And there's no getting around that. He has been awful. And I'm also a person who has said that even though I've been for this change going back post-BC game, I was like, okay, well, we need to move on here. This isn't going to work. I also recognize that the problems were so bountiful that it was unlikely a simple quarterback change would solve all that ails you. You weren't going to suddenly win the ACC because Brock Glenn was playing quarterback. You weren't suddenly going to bounce right back to looking like you did a year ago when you were 13-0. But I did think it could look better, and I do think it gives you a fighting chance with an offensive line that has been a bitter disappointment. I mean, this offensive line, this is one of those moments where if the offensive line was a child, it would be the black sheep child of the family. This would be the one that when you got together with your brother, the uncle of the kids in your family, and you'd sit down and be like, well, how's Michael doing? Oh, he's hanging in there. He's doing all right. Yeah. Steve's, well, Steve, he's always doing well. He's about ready to graduate college. He's going to do, I think he's going to be an engineer. It looks like, he's got a job lined up in Richmond. It's amazing. Oh, well, that's fantastic. How's Rick? Well, me and your mother, me and his mother, we've tried everything. We've did the therapy. I've sat down. I tried to scare him. I threatened to cut him out the will if he continued down this path. I've physically threatened him. I've tried to cajole. I've tried everything. We just can't connect with him. We can't do it. He's out there. I think he's dealing drugs. He's been in numerous bar fights. When we saw him at Thanksgiving last year, I thought he looked like he was homeless. I just can't corral him. That's this offensive line. When you look at the offensive line, you're like, well, we thought really things were going to go okay. But that group sucks ass. They're awful in every way, and they all take turns being terrible. One week, it's this guy that's not any good at all. The next week, it's this other guy over here because this guy got it together last week, and now all of a sudden I got to turn and look at you, and you're falling all over yourself like an a-hole. And then we've got this guy getting exploited, and now my, 17th year senior can't snap the ball. What are we doing? So these are all the magnificent problems, the larger-than-life issues we have with this team that means a change of quarterback probably doesn't reverse your fortune, the path that you're headed down now, which is that of a 2-10, 3-9-ish type of season, right? But I do think Brock could provide a spark because he can move and he is a threat to keep on the read option. He could do it. I also think he'll get the ball out quicker on the RPOs. I think he'll do everything a little bit faster, Tom. Just seems to me he's going to do everything a little bit quicker. I would design the offense around his legs this weekend. I would get him off platform. I don't think you can just drop him back and expect him to throw the ball all over the lot. I also think this poor kid has been absolutely betrayed by this staff. Now, hey, you got to go out and ball. Here's your chance. There's no pity party. Yeah, it wasn't fair to you when you got thrown out there against Georgia with no players. Wasn't fair. 4 hours before kickoff of the ACC championship game, they went, yeah, we're going to need you to start. We don't have a game plan for you. We haven't let you practice with the ones all week because we thought the other guy was going to be good to go. Turns out a few hours ago, we just found out he's not good to go. So you got to start. Good luck to you. Conference championship, undefeated season's on the line. Don't screw it up. And oh, by the way, all your receivers are hurt. Hang in there. Go get them. Yeah, it's been tough. And now this week you hand him the keys, and it's Clemson week. And your offensive line is the aforementioned sieve that I just described. The psyche of the team can't be good. And Clemson's defensive line is far and away the best in the conference and one of the best in the country. Go get him, Brock. Make some plays, baby. But I say all that to say this. I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged that they've made a change. I don't really care the reason. I just couldn't watch DJ play quarterback anymore. It was so painful. And so I get that, my expectations may be measured, to say the least, about what might happen this Saturday against Clemson. But I hope moving forward, this is the kind of permanent change at the position that we were all clamoring for. And when I say permanent change, I don't just mean Brock. I'd like to see an awful lot of Luke over the course of this year as well. I know you're saying don't, you could break him. Plenty of freshman quarterback out there playing. You put your arm around him, you understand situationally when you put him in. You have some packages for him. You give him some opportunities against the lesser teams of the world. When you're facing North Carolina or Duke, you're not in danger of getting your brains beat in by those two sorry teams. You can play Luke in some cases, in some situations. And I don't think at any point this year that you should ever go back to DJ. There's no reason for it, none whatsoever. So I'm hoping this marks the turning of the corner, if you will, and that we see the other three quarterbacks that are on this roster. You're not playing for anything but next year. You better find out what those three guys can do. Understand the situation isn't ideal, but you're playing football games, and you got to know what your roster is, because you're going to have to make an awful lot of tough decisions moving forward about your staff and your personnel.
Don't you find it interesting that for Cromenhawk's part, Mike Norvell kept on saying, I think the quarterbacks look good today. Like yesterday's first comments. He didn't say, I thought Brock looked great, Brock this, Brock that. He's like, I thought they both did well. And same thing today. There was a lot of they, plural, between the two quarterbacks. I find that interesting. You're saying, well, you don't turn them loose because you could break them as a true freshman. Like, that would be my response. My response is, I find it interesting that Mike is including Luke in the discussion here.
I think
that's fascinating.
I think it's a competition right now.
That's what he's suggesting.
Well, here's what he knows. In all likelihood, whoever doesn't win that job by season's end, the other is out. I mean, you're gone. You don't have to leave. I wouldn't encourage you to leave, but I'm guessing those two are competing now to see who's still here next year. Maybe wrong about that. I don't know what's inside their head right now. I don't know, for example, if Luke Cromenhawk's parents and Luke have discussed it, and I don't know if they've said, hey, listen, if you don't get in a certain amount of plays or a certain amount of reps, or you don't look like you're going to be the starter next year, we're going to take it on down the road. I don't know that.
Well, if
they may not. They may be good to go here. I don't know.
If they did, that's asinine. You're a true freshman. Stop it.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean that that's the same conclusion I would draw after spring camp next year?
Right.
No.
That's a different deal.
But
right?
if you're talking about I need you to be on a pitch count as a true freshman behind that offensive line right now, that's not the kind of parent I want. I'm just saying. Like, you have to look at the entire picture here. If he's ready, let him play. That would be my attitude. If he's ready, get him in there. But let's not force the issue in this situation. Ain't like he's taken over a group that has a lot of morale, and he's just the final piece of the puzzle. Jameis was the final piece in 2013. Now, it's a very different skill set of the other 10 guys.
Yeah.
But that was the question in the offseason. It's like, well, can this young kid do enough? And then within 2 quarters, you said, oh, God, can they keep up with Jameis? Can the other 10 keep up with the greatness of this guy? But in this situation, it's very different. Like, I hope they're not talking about a pitch count or anything like that.
Yeah, no, I don't. Listen, you would be thinking about the not burning of the red shirt is what you'd be thinking about.
I would lean more that way.
That's what I'm saying. That's really more of what I'm saying.
I thought you were saying, like, he better get in, and if he doesn't get in, then we're moving on.
No, I'm thinking about preserving your red shirt. I'm thinking about in terms of him, how much he's going to play.
Sure.
All that kind of stuff. That you've got to factor a lot of things in. You got to factor in if Brock doesn't win out between those two, he's gone. I would think he is gone.
The question is, will they take it to spring? I think that's where you go. And well, and to your point, your roster management thing from Monday is you're saying, I don't care because my job's on the line. If I'm sitting where Mike is, I'm having all assets deployed to get me a quarterback for next year.
Yeah, I got to find a guy that I know is a can't miss player at the most important position on the field. The time to have let it ride was this past offseason, and we were having the discussion about this. I will take everybody back to that discussion because I think it's important now. At that time, before we decided to pull the trigger on a bunch of other players to bring in, we were arguing, okay, on the heels of the snub, on the heels of having come back and secured the conference, you've now taken it, wrestled it away from Clemson. You are the ACC champion, should have been in the Invitational. We know all of that. What ought you do now? Because if you stay with what you have and you decide, well, in order of seniority, Brock Glenn will get the chance to be the starter this upcoming year just based on time spent in the system and Luke coming in as a true freshman. So we said, would you do that? Would you do that knowing that every new young quarterback has to take his lumps and you're going to lose some games while that process plays out? That young man is going to cost you a game. He's going to have that wide-eyed game where he's confused by the looks he's getting. An opposing veteran DC has figured something out about him, And, that particular game, he throws 3 picks and you lose by 3, and it's frustrating and everybody's mad. But it's part of the maturation process. We see it with almost every young quarterback every year. And we were debating whether or not, did you need to do that? Did you need to go through that? Would this be your opportunity to break away from the incessant portal reliance? Or could you let this roster as is with the departure of 10 NFL players just play out and everybody moves up and we have one of those rocky roads? We go 7-5, 8-4 on the heels of this great season. Or should you say, F that, we've reached the mountaintop quickly, Florida's way down, Miami still hasn't done anything. Remember, coming into the season, Mario Cristobal was 12-13 at Miami, right? He was showing signs of excellent recruiting still because he's a very good recruiter. But they hadn't won anything. There was no evidence at that time that we were having this discussion that they were going to rise up and be elite. Getting Cam Ward certainly changed their fortunes. But as we discussed this, we were debating, could you afford to take a step back? Or is it the time that you go back out and you try to bring in as many good, experienced players as possible to try to bury those other 2 programs? Florida's pretty much already face down in the muck. Napier's expected to be fired. We even thought that this offseason. Let's see if you can keep Miami at bay and then just really one more time attack it with the portal and see if you can't do something akin to a conference championship or reaching the conference championship game again. That was the discussion. And they chose the latter. They said, screw it, we don't want to take a step back. There's debate amongst a lot of people covering this team as to whether or not they did that precisely because of the snub. Because they didn't want, it was a we'll show you sort of mentality. I'm not taking a step back. Screw you, we're coming back just as strong next year. I don't know if that's true or not. I can't read Mike's mind. I don't know what was behind the decision, but clearly whatever it was, he decided we're not taking a step back. I'm going to bring in these other players. The problem is, of course, the players he had on the roster to begin with were not as good as he thought they were, clearly. See the offensive line, Tom, you know that. Secondly, he whiffed on a lot of these guys. We can just say it. He whiffed on a lot of these guys, starting with the most important position on the field, quarterback.
And I think that the decision to do that is also kind of an indictment on your ability to develop
or recruit.
Well, sure. But I mean, I'm just saying the development part of it, because if you felt like you had heir apparents at several positions, because they basically went to every position group and got somebody. So what they're telling you is, while we've lost a lot of people, the solutions aren't in-house. The replacements aren't in-house. I mean, damn. Like at anywhere?
Or they're not ready in-house. Yeah.
Well, you've had how many years with
you're in your
many of these guys?
Yeah, you're in your 5th year.
Jared was here forever and a day. Jerryon Jones was here an awfully long time.
I think they thought they had some answers in the secondary.
On the O-line, well, this is the other one. You come back to this one. You've had many years.
That's the biggest one. It's damning. Alex Atkins, I think, is probably a guy that, when we start talking about where you're going to make changes, I think he would have to be circled amongst other coaches, by the way.
Sure. Well, I mean, by his own definition, he's failing. He says there's nothing that I enjoy more than when young guys replace old guys. When does that happen here?
Yeah. Well, we're not seeing it, right?
When does that happen?
Mm-hmm. So, this is it is a fascinating time. It's easy to rinse and repeat for those of us in this business and those of you who talk about the Noles on a regular basis because you're fans of Florida State, you went to school there, whatever it is, you root for them, you're from here, whatever. But we seem to be getting in this circular argument. We get into these discussions about this unmitigated disaster, but I'm actually more intrigued, and I think it's infinitely more entertaining to have the discussion about how do you get out from under this avalanche of suck? What do you do, and can you? I mean, you can start with that debate. Can he? Is it even possible? You can start with that debate because I think that is debatable. I don't know if he can. Maybe. There are certain things in place like you and I have talked about that in the modern era of football that would allow you maybe to escape this disastrous season in year 5. You have some safety measures built in now because of the transfer portal that might let you somehow survive this, seriously upgrade your roster temporarily to get it to 8-4, 9-3 next year, kind of get the car out of the ruts in the dirt and back onto the cement a little bit here. Maybe. But again, it would require you in many ways to have to do two things simultaneously that don't necessarily coalesce. So on the one hand, I think you've got to learn the lesson of being too reliant on the portal. Okay, you got to hold your coaches, your assistant coaches' feet to the fire or get new ones so that you can recruit the prep ranks at a much more elite level. There's no excuse after going 13-0 not to have a better recruiting class than they just had. None whatsoever. None. And I would dare say if you couldn't recruit a top 10 class after going 13-0, what the hell are you going to do now? So it's very, 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 very difficult. On the other hand, you don't have the time to be patient and let the young guys who you do like on this roster wear the rest of this season and all of next without seriously going to find upgrades within the portal, which you're trying to slowly, somewhat detach yourself from.
This is very much like an NFL situation where, the Bears have done this a lot, where it seems like they bring in a quarterback in the draft while their coach is on his, I'm going to get fired year, his hot seat year. And so the coach isn't taking the time to help along the young quarterback because he doesn't have any more time.
No.
So Andy Dalton gets brought in or whoever, the veteran, I can't win now and I need to win now. So I need to bring in this other guy to help me win 7 or 8 games this year so I don't get fired.
Yeah.
Right. So you have two things going on that are not on the same path. Development path, long-term path, and then short-term needs. That will be interesting to see how Mike Norvell navigates 2025. Does he feel like he's got enough time for a ramp-up with younger players, or does he feel the heat on the seat and say, I got to go get ready-made dudes here right now? I think from an investment standpoint, the latter is true. To get people to keep spending money, you have to show a quick turnaround. But I don't know that that's the most healthy thing in the world because you could be right back where you started with a better record a year ago or 2 years ago because you're going to have a hollow top
another
end.
shell. Yeah,
another shell of a roster.
You also, based on what we've just seen, there's no guarantee that you're going to get it right when you go back into that portal.
Yeah.
I mean, he whiffed.
Right.
This was the first time that's happened. He pretty much had a hit rate through the roof prior to this. This one is obviously a whole lot of swings and misses. So that's you don't even know that. What is true, and we do know this, and we've had this discussion, is that he's going to have to get some guys on this staff. An infusion of life is necessary. Some of the obviously inner workings of this situation have grown very stale. So even for that very baseline reason, you're gonna make changes on your staff. This season's a failure. You're gonna have to shake things up with your staff. But the other very valid reason, and we've complained about this even in the midst of wins, is you got to get some people in here who can go get some kids out of high school. You better find some people that have a dynamic recruiting edge to them, who live and breathe it. It's their passion. I'd find at least 2 that just this is what they do. They've had a track record of whooping ass in recruiting.
They should have a track record of sending dudes to the pros too. That's the other part of it. Because I feel like the tiebreakers are relationships in NFL Factory in no particular order if the money is similar. The problem is like Georgia doesn't have to pay as much as we would for a player.
No.
Ohio State doesn't have to pay as much as we would for a player. And that gap is only getting wider now because we suck.
Right. Oh, this is a very damaging long-term development. Yes.
So that also affects the pool of coaches who would come in and take this job?
If they think Mike's going to be fired within a year or 2, that is correct.
There would need to be an edict from above within the administration, somehow, some way, official or unofficial, saying
that's a dangerous road to hoe, buddy.
It is.
I don't think you want to be guaranteeing people jobs who are out here going 3-9.
That's why it doesn't have to be public. But I'm telling you, otherwise, people are going to come here and say, "Well, it's a one and done situation. Why would a proven coach come here?
Yeah.
Other than a big payday." If they don't know whether the head man is going to be the head man for any period of time.
Yeah.
You don't want Kendall Briles or, guys like that or Walt Bells who have been, they just pop around from place to place to place to place.
Well, certainly. And I know those are just names that you're talking about because of example, but
because they were in and they were out.
Yeah.
You don't want that situation.
You want guys that can recruit though. You're going to have to find, it's going to be an interesting balance. It is very, very important. I think what's fascinating, we were off to a flying start here and we're going to keep this conversation going because I think what's fascinating too, is that, yeah, okay, fine, Tom, let's do this real quick for an example. Yeah, behind the scenes, if you're interviewing coaches, let's say Mike Norvell comes to you, understands the changes, radical changes need to be made, understands the error of his ways, swallows his pride, reluctantly lets some guys that he really loves go because this is a disaster and he knows it, and he wants to be the long-term head coach at Florida State. He knows this is his maybe last best shot at a job like this, right?
Alabama ain't calling again.
Ain't nobody calling him anytime soon at this level, right? So he wants this to work, okay? Most of these guys are certainly fueled by more than money. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that I think he's uber competitive and does want this to work and feels terrible about what's happening and wishes he could snap his fingers and make it turn around quickly and knows that he can't. And that's why that look on his face that you see every Saturday is so pronounced, because everybody's noticed he doesn't look right. Well, yeah, you wouldn't look right either if you were in the midst of limbo and there was nothing you could do about it. There's nothing in the moment that you can do to change your fortune for this season. And that's got to suck because the weight of those losses mount over time and the pressure increases because of them. And there's no quick fix. That's tough. That's the far away, I always joke Miami Vice, Phil Collins music playing in the background, staring off like, what have I wrought? But I do think you could, Tom. You could say, okay, Mike, look, we're into you for millions. We know that. We just extended you. That looks bad right about now. And inexplicably, we extended some of your assistant coaches that, oh, by the way, nobody wants. But okay, anyhow, so that said, we're going to make some changes. And I know that you're hamstrung by this season because there are a lot of coaches who are going to say, oh, no, buddy. I don't know. Your time is nigh. I'm not going somewhere where I'm going to have to find a new job 1 year from right now or 2 years from right now.
It is not an iconic brand under Mike Norvell.
Right now. So we will pony up, bite the bullet. We know this cannot fail. If you get whatever number of assistants, who are the guys you're looking at? And we begin that uncomfortable conversation that we were having on Monday. And we say, all right, if there's a shot, we get this guy. He meets the criteria. He's a great recruiter. He's a good whatever it is, right? I'll let him know we're not firing you for bare minimum 2 years, 3 years.
Or I'll let him know he gets your job when we do.
All right, well, that's another. Okay, so, but you could do that, and I think there's a lot of tough decisions that are going to have to be made here. No season like this can play out in this manner and not have that be the case. It's
FUBAR.
It is, Tom. It is. It's also the Jeff Cameron Show on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless in zero gravity. All of the weight and worry of life is melted away, and you fall into a state of profound relaxation. This is what you'll find at Tallulah CBD Mushrooms THC in Railroad Square when you try out their state-of-the-art floating pods. While you're there, shop for the best quality CBD, mushrooms, THC, and kava products available. Shop Tallulah today with 6 locations in Tallahassee and the Kava Bar Lounge in Bannerman Crossing. Online at TallulahSmokes.com.
This is Alex from Falmers. We've been buying gold and silver jewelry, fine watches, and other collectibles for over 45 years. But did you know Falmers buys and sells gold and silver coins, bars, and bullion? Don't get scammed online or pay high shipping and handling fees. Call or stop by Falmers for a quick and easy quote. No matter if you're new to investing in bullion or have been collecting a lifetime, Falmers is your local source for buying, selling gold and silver coins and bullion. Falmers, more than you might expect, with 2 great locations.
As you probably know, Falmers buys, sells, and loans on just about anything of value. What you might not know is that when you buy something from us, we guarantee the total satisfaction of your purchase. Buy it, take it home, and if for any reason you decide you don't want it within 7 days, Falmers will give you 100% of your money back. And if you decide you don't want the item within 30 days, Falmers will let you exchange it for something you do want. At Falmers, we guarantee you're going to be happy with your purchase or we'll buy it back. Falmers, check cashing, pawn service, and sales. 2 times more than you might expect with 2 great locations.
We're all going through our own fitness journey. We want to get the most out of our time in the gym or with a trainer. We want to eat the right things and do the right things to be in the best shape possible. Why not find out exactly where you're at in that journey by getting a DEXA scan today? It's the most accurate measurement of all body composition methods. It is the gold standard in what is used in clinical diagnosis, the only method that can determine bone density and give a direct measurement of visceral fat. You can do so and save a bunch of money. That's why I'm here, guys. Use Jeff25 as a discount code for 25% off any of the services at DexaFit. It's not just a DEXA scan. They have red light therapy that helps accelerate wound healing, pain relief, muscle recovery, improve circulation, skin health. They'll also give you tips on personalized nutrition with weight management, fitness optimization. These are all things that you want to do to help correct imbalances. Go see our friends at DexaFit and save right now. Use code Jeff25, discount code Jeff25 for 25% off any services at DexaFit.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
By the way, that Braves Padres game last night lasted 2 hours and 9 minutes, Tom. And it was, I don't know, it kind of fits in nicely with this. This is the quickest Major League Baseball games have been played on average in over 20 years. And I don't think it's an accident that the attendance numbers and the ratings on television are both pointed upwards significantly. It's impressive. There aren't too many. You can ask the question, and I'll get back to the Noles. You can ask the question if baseball's decision to, implement the pitch clock has been the greatest by rule addition to a league in the last 30 years. It's changed the trajectory of the sport.
And they can top it by allowing robot umpires to be a part of the game at home plate, because then there's far less controversy. But I'm kind of a hybrid between your generation and my own, because I'm a bit of an old soul. I was at wit's end watching 2-1, 3-1 ball games that took 3.5 hours. I mean, you remember the old place in the FM dial. I would complain about that all the time. Like, there's no action. I'm going to sit here for 3.5 hours to watch a 3-1 game and 7 pitching changes? Like, I mean, come on now. So I think in concert with the 3-batter minimum, some of the shift stuff, it really hasn't borne out all that much. There's been some numbers on batting average and balls put in play. But you combine those two things, fewer pitching changes with the pitch clock, and you've got yourself a much, much more watchable product, which is great.
Third hour, I'll get more into what we saw. Congratulations, Cole Reagans, by the way. What a day, huh? What a day for Tallahassee's own. But we'll get into these later on in the 3 o'clock hour, which is the third hour that we do now. That's permanently a part of the show, and happy that it is. So clearly, no easy fix here at Florida State for how you have to find some semblance of balance between a staff change and a shift in philosophy, a self-scout that Mike's going to have to look in the mirror and be really honest with himself about, a balancing of both finding new coaches that can really recruit and improve in that area of the operation because it's not good enough now, and then also somehow try to solicit a pretty decent amount of money in order to try to supplement this roster again through the portal this next year. A couple of things that are coming down the tracks, though. The House agreement, when that goes through, means that everybody is going to have a baseline of money for NIL, every school. So now it won't be a matter of some schools are not participating in all of this in the offseason. There'll be more teams than ever before that will have at least a baseline number to go out and make changes to their roster via the portal. So that competition increases exponentially once that happens.
It does, and it's a baseline number across the athletic department. So some schools will prioritize basketball, but like you're right. I mean, football, everybody knows it's an economic driver.
Right, and so that's going to happen. All right, so you have greater competition than ever before. Secondarily, there is always going to be, and we know this, and I see more dumbass comments where you think you'd see dumbass comments on X, Twitter, than I care to talk about. But people seem to think that we think, or that people who talk about the Battle's End or NIL in general, that we think we're in the driver's seat or something, that we can outduel every other school because our collective got a head start of getting it right early on. Nobody thinks that. Nobody rational thinks that if it becomes a money duel with Notre Dame or Texas, countless other schools, frankly, at least 10 to maybe 15 other schools that have a lot more money than Florida State in this area if they're committed to it, if they decide that's what they want to do, right? They do. You're not gonna outduel a Texas or somebody like that if they really, really, really want to make it about money and go and reset the market, as they say, for a player. Let's just say you're not going to do that. But what we also know is, thankfully, that's not the driver of having a decent depth chart. Relationships with star-studded, up-and-coming high school kids is. That's what Georgia has. That's what Ohio State has. And that's what the more successful, established, recruiting at a very high level coaches have in the high school ranks that Mike doesn't.
Yeah, the better you are as a program, the cheaper it is to bring the talent in. The winners keep winning in multiple ways because they say, well, I don't need you. Now, you can be a part of this factory that gets you paid the big check, which is, when you get drafted on Thursday or Friday of NFL draft week. But, I mean, I can go elsewhere. I've got other options. It's all about leverage. We have none right now. Zero.
Oh, no. Based on this season, that's certainly true. But I'm just talking about big picture philosophy and understanding that those relationships need to be forged. There are a lot of examples of big-time players, including the current wide receiver, freshman all-world superstar at Ohio State, who took less money to go to that particular school than he was offered by some other schools. We know that's true. Why? Well, they had the earliest relationship with him. They started talking to him when he was a freshman. I mean, you go back a long ways with that. You got to have both. You can't be all of one, not sustain it. You got to have both. And, again, look, Florida State won. Yeah, there is, Lee. You're right. Florida State won the battle for Fisk. Braden Fisk was offered more by Notre Dame. He was offered more money by Notre Dame.
Notre Dame was furious about that, too. The fan base saying, what the hell is this?
Because of the relationship that he had very quickly built with both Mike Norvell, in particular Mike Norvell, and Odell, right? He liked the pitch. He liked what he heard. He liked what the expectation was, and he also liked that it seemed ready-made to have success. Turned out he was right. He was right. And, and that's this chair turning, guys. That's this chair. Yeah. So
you feel better?
I wish it was that. I'd be laughing. But so at the end of the day, you do have to have relationships. You do have to connect. You do have to build more of those. Again, I'm looking at a situation that I don't know can be fixed quickly and needs to be. But if you're going to plot the ways in which it can happen, you delve into these conversations. You delve into, okay, well, what would it look like if it began to turn the corner, if it begins to turn the corner next year? Well, it would start, I think, unfortunately, probably, with you having to overpay for an established, very talented, and proven quarterback. I think that's what's going to have to happen, and you run the risk once you do that of running off the guys that are behind him.
Correct. The issue is your reputation has fallen so far across the industry that you just wonder, because kids are fickle. This is where the fan base and a recruit kind of match up. It's like they're very, what have you done for me lately? Like for Florida State, many fans are asking this very basic question right now. What is this staff good at? And there it is. Like what are they good at?
Right now,
We
can kick it and we can punt it.
That's what the team is good at. What is the staff good at right now?
Yeah, it doesn't look like much.
Because before it was portal evaluations, portal communications,
and development.
Right. Well, the development thing, unfortunately, is under a UV light, and those bed sheets don't look clean in this hotel.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a bunch of blood.
Yeah, that's not. I'm checking in somewhere else. That because the baton passing from one generation to the next, one class to the next, there are several positions where you're saying, I don't see it.
I don't either, and it's depressing.
And if you're not going to be known for being a recruiting staff, you've got to have that.
You've got to do
that.
It, right?
And you've got to have a track record of turning dudes into professionals who get paid a whole lot of money. Like, that's the path back to me is, yes, relationships matter. Yes, recruiting matters. But for Florida State to be able to compete and not have to get into a bidding war, you've got to prove that you are a factory for Sundays at certain positions.
Well, the good news was a year ago, Tom, you did. You churned out a bunch of NFL players.
Defensive end, you have that reputation.
And you didn't cash it in.
Yeah. Well, the problem is usually a splash year has a lag effect. It's the class behind it. And this group, if you didn't fall flat on your face,
completely throw up all over yourself.
Yeah, you're staring at top 6, top 8. I mean, is that badass, competing with Ohio State or Georgia? No, but you would be in a single digit position.
That's well done. I hear you, Tom. Sorry.
I thought you were laughing at me saying I'm not sure.
I'm laughing at Hawaii. Those are Motel 6 sheets on Appalachian Parkway. Prince Murat. Yeah, I knew that was coming. Verbiage. Phrasing, Jeff. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Tri-County Electric Co-op announced Monday that most inland communities should be at least 75% restored by Friday, with some communities sooner. 1,800 linemen are in communities working to restore power to the main lines, the ones that line the larger roadways. It has to be fixed first, and then they will start making their way down into neighborhoods, side roads, and long driveways. Anyone who needs to report an outage or needs an updated restoration timeline should continue to check the Tri-County's website. A two-car collision Sunday morning killed a 22-year-old woman and left a 21-year-old man with critical injuries. The crash happened near the intersection of Old Woodville Road and Woodville Highway. The SUV driven by the 21-year-old man crossed over the median into oncoming traffic for unknown reasons. The SUV slammed into a sedan driven by the woman who was traveling in the opposite direction. The woman was killed from her injuries and the man was taken to Tallahassee Memorial with critical injuries. The crash is currently under investigation. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by McElmore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McElmoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Ample sunshine expected this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 88. Northeasterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies tonight. Lows dip down to about 69. High temperatures reach up to 86. Tomorrow, partly cloudy. Low 80s Friday and Saturday with thunderstorms possible both days. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently 82.
Wooden Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Wooden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Wooden Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Wooden Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at woodenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
You were made for farming, so were we. Each year, you look to make the most of every opportunity and to find success on your own terms. Stein is right there with you. Farming is in your DNA, and ours as well. At Stein Seed Company, we have decades of research dedicated to offering seed that allows you to farm the way you want to farm. Seed genetics developed by farmers for farmers. Stein has yield. Live your life your way with Stein.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds.
There's like, families. There's different families. And,
so if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti, right?
Yeah,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And, but
never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is sponsored by Shannon Young with Fairway Mortgage Corporation. He's so good, he's even got Jimbo's Christmas tree pre-approved for a new home. Visit loansforknowles.com. Rolling on a Balls McWednesday short segment here because, well, the talk show host got talky and prattled on for the opening segment to the tune of 30-something minutes, which is, probably not ideal. Probably not ideal. I wish, and I wished this too when DJ was brought in, I really wanted to see this year begin with your two best wide receivers on the field, and neither happened, unfortunately. The opportunity for those two guys to take off. And that still frustrates me. Then when you throw in the mix that they've also had, injuries to their offensive line, in particular their tackles, that's frustrating, and guard now. So they've had some issues there to help pile on to a miserable season. I don't know that it was going to make this team, a threat to win the conference again based on what we're seeing. But I do know it would have helped. It would have helped. So
left tackle was a disaster before he got hurt.
Yeah, and that is a miseval by Mike and Alex. They really thought they saw something last year that led them to believe Darius was going to take yet another leap forward and become, because there was nothing you saw last year that would have told you Darius was going to be an All-American left tackle. You could have said, I think he's an All-ACC lineman.
Right. Solid player.
Good player.
Don't have to worry about him.
Yeah, but you look at elite left tackles all over the country, and they're all better than him by a lot. So, that was a miseval. It is a mixed bag of frustration, man, when you watch the ways in which Mike Norvell for this season has betrayed this program, and there's no getting around it. This can never happen, and it's in the midst of happening. I mean, there's just no nice way to say it. You could be the biggest proponent and fan of Mike. You can think Mike is an elite coach. This is all something to discuss or debate, whatever, but this is never acceptable.
And what's lost in the shuffle sometimes, and it's worth reminding folks, we just played a bunch of nobodies. And we weren't close.
It's not lost in the shuffle to me, buddy.
Well, I mean, but, we get so used to talking about, well, this isn't good, that's not good. Well, the degree of difficulty wasn't high.
Mm-hmm.
That is the thing. You watch these other teams play other weeks of the season, and you go, they're average. Maybe their best is an above-average day where they could scare somebody. Maybe they could scare if everything goes right. But these aren't good football teams. Boston College, I think, is the best football team that we've played so far.
And they're not great.
No. Georgia Tech's offense is the most scary of the teams we've played so far. When it's cooking, they know what they are, and that's. But I mean, we're splitting hairs between, because you're saying, well, maybe not. Okay, fine, give it to SMU over Georgia Tech, or give it to BC with Castellanos over Georgia Tech. God dog it, it's Georgia Tech, Boston College, Memphis, and SMU, and you weren't close.
Yeah,
you're not even close.
Well, by the way, for people who are asking, I just had somebody ask me, and I was referring to Destin Hill and Hakeem as the two receivers that I thought we would see on the field game one. Neither was on the field for game one. Neither was on the field for game two. And so I'm not saying you would have won those games, but I think you had a better chance to win those games with those guys out there, just so you know. Now, you will have Destin Hill back next year and Hakeem as well, and we'll see what Hakeem becomes.
We're going to have 12 injuries next year. I just bank on it.
let's see how much better this thing looks, even against Clemson. You're not going to be able to block it up in the way that allows you to be uber successful and consistently successful, more importantly, over the course of this game. You're not going to be able to string together multiple drives where you have sustained level of plus play on offense. I don't think that's going to happen. But can you muster something? Because they've done very little mustering of anything. Can we muster something that you can latch onto and say, okay, when you're not playing Clemson, this could work. This could really work. You know, I don't know how much you've watched, and I don't have my this clock up here. How much time do I got, Tom?
You got a minute.
Okay. Maybe I should carry this over to the next hour. I actually think I should. You know, I was reminded recently by something Bill Belichick said. And by the way, he is awesome on Inside the NFL. He is, I mean,
that's a big win for Dennis Miller in the CW.
That is, I mean, he is awesome. Really good. Bill Belichick has got, he's so much more of a personality than he ever was as a coach, right? But he was basically talking about the foundations of an offense. And it was a reminder to me that it can be a singular thing that you know and you cater your personnel to, that given a look, you're going to be able to do well. And how we don't have that singular thing here. It's not there. It's not there. Hour number 2, I'll expound on that a little bit more. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Surprising flavors, cultural authenticity, and unique adventures are some of the main ingredients that go into every single plate served at Café de Martín, Tallahassee's best Peruvian dining experience. Led by classically trained Chef Martín, passion for culture, passion for flavor, and a passion for people can be felt from the moment you step inside. Café de Martín also offers an unparalleled outdoor dining experience in the garden. Surrounded by vibrant flowers and plants, and nestled between carefully curated decor, the shaded and breezy outdoor garden features elegant live music regularly, and the romantic evening lighting makes Café de Martín the best place to share conversation and connect with the ones you love. Every dish is made from scratch, and every drink is handmade by trained bartenders, offering the very best margaritas and old fashions in the city. Take a trip to a Peruvian paradise right here in the capital city. Visit Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Find the full menu online at cafedemartin.com.
Don't miss TSC Tuesdays every Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m. during the Greg Tish Show. Find out what's happening at Tallahassee State College every Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3 FM.
Sarah here with Seminole Auto Glass. Hey, Greg.
Hey, what's up?
It's turkey season. Have you hit one yet?
A turkey? No.
Good for you, because we've seen more turkey suicides than anything lately.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we had a pretty foul morning.
Oh.
But our customer just went to Seminole Auto Glass and uploaded their insurance card. We got them back on the road with feathers flying in no time. Hey, Greg, which side of a turkey has more feathers? The outside.
Oh.
Better call Seminole.
Seminole Auto Glass. Call 850-539-4527.
Dream it, plan it, do it. Brian Barnard's Flooring America offers a straightforward way to shop with our streamlined shopping.
Finding the right flooring is simple. Visit our newly remodeled showroom featuring the Room to Explore shopping experience, where our knowledgeable staff will walk you through the steps.
Our family has been serving the area since 1976 with a local staff of more than 35 people trained in flooring sales and design. We know floors.
And we know styles. Let us help make your home timeless.
Brian Barnard's Flooring America, where friends send friends.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Real Talk fact number 44. Banging your head against the wall for 1 hour burns 150 calories. This is Real Talk 93.3, Tallahassee's Real Talk station.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3, WBFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3 brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers football after wide receiver Sterling Shepard had a good day in the win against the Eagles on Sunday. He is officially being signed to the team's 53-man roster. He had been on the practice squad and played in 2 games as a temporary elevation. The Buccaneers are getting ready for a Thursday night game as they are going to match up against Atlanta. The Miami Dolphins are getting ready for a game against the Patriots on Sunday. It would appear that Tyler Huntley is going to start at quarterback for a second straight week. Florida State football on Saturday. They are going to host Clemson also on Saturday. Florida and Central Florida will match up against each other in Gainesville. This Sports Flash is brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun, and Gold. More than you might expect with 2 great locations in Tallahassee. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
Welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective. A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide cleans better than the leading competitive free detergent, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues.
Plus, Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be.
Power Mill Training Academy equips motivated athletes focused on baseball and softball with the specific tools to reach their true potential. Now, you'll read that if you go to their website, but I'm here to tell you that, look, whether it's your daughter wanting to play softball, your son wants to play baseball, or maybe they just want to have fun and get the most out of their abilities, and that's where Power Mill comes into play. They've got coaches and camps that teach for every level of play for your son or your daughter. To learn more, go to PowerMillSports.com.
Pinch a Penny Pools has the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the city. You might even call it Tallahassee's Hot Tub Hub. 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, with over 50 of them on site. Over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But I digress. So why should you own a hot tub from Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Number 1, health benefits, of course. The healing powers of soaking in a hot bubbling pool of water go back centuries. Google it. Number 2, Pinch a Penny has hot tubs with technology called Freshwater IQ. It gives you real-time chemical readings and tells you exactly what to add to keep the water at peak perfection, with automated analysis to help you control the chlorine and pH. It's hot tubs for dummies. Sign me up. Number 3, they have the best prices, of course. Plus, you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Twitter, it's at Jay Cameron Show. Thanks for also watching on Warchant TV on YouTube there. Don't ask for it much, but make sure you like, you subscribe, you share, you tell all the people, hey, tune in every day, guys. Ukrainian mail-order bride writes, problem is if you can't stretch the D and everything is within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage, you can't be successful unless you run the wishbone. And I am a proponent of the wishbone currently. I'd run the wishbone with Brock.
Stanford ran a lot of speed option last week.
They did. This actually brings me to a larger point, and thank you for the contribution. Ukrainian mail-order bride industry is booming. I would tell you, Tom, that what has also angered me, we have a litany of things that we could, when you do the pros and cons list of things, when you're trying to make a tough decision, like when Tom Brady revealed last week during the broadcast and brought in his notes about his free agency and how he was deciding between teams and how close he was to actually going to the Chicago Bears. I thought that was cruel. If you're a Chicago Bears fan, you haven't had a quarterback in 100 years, and you find out that you were really close to getting Tom Brady when he chose Tampa. Anyhow, obviously Tom made the right decision for our second Super Bowl victory there in Tampa, multiple Super Bowls there in the city of Tampa, like all those Stanley Cups.
Well, but, he picked a good defense.
Yeah.
That was wise of him.
Yeah, and he picked a really good offense.
He did.
He picked a really good offense because Mike Evans doesn't suck, and neither does Godwin, and they were all right.
Neither does Scotty Miller.
And, well, by the way, either did the Mack truck they had in the running back room who could catch 700-mile-per-hour fastballs from a foot away. That's just amazing.
That is maybe the play of the playoff run in Green Bay.
A hell of a catch. That is a hell of a catch, Tom. I mean, that is still, to this day, you're like, how? That is, look at you. That's a catch you should be proud of the rest of your life. That's pretty amazing. Anyhow, back to this. I'm doing the pro and con list of things, and this is on the con side of things, obviously. You do realize, and I know you know this is rhetorical. You can design plays or a play for a singular player that you want to feature. It's a little bit like running set plays in basketball. If you have, say, back in the day, J.J. Redick. All right, you know what? We're not just going to run offense here. We're going to run a specific play that's going to see J.J. Redick get a wide-open look after these two picks. Because you know what? That dude can really shoot. And he comes off those picks in a hurry, and he catches, squares, fires, net more often than not. We're going to run some plays for that dude because he's a shooting Jesse. Watch. I mean, for as complicated as Golden State can be defensively and offensively, sometimes they just run a lot of plays for Steph Curry because he's the greatest shooter of all time. Of all time. And he'll run around for days because he's in incredible shape. And at some point, you'll get lost. You'll get picked. And he's going to have a good look. And he's going to knock it down more than he's not. And you're going to lose because that dude is awesome. Now, there is no Steph Curry on this football team, Tom, and there certainly isn't a J.J. Redick on this basketball team. But back to my point, which is, man, if you want to run a play, if you want to run something that features your most explosive player, you can. Part of my frustration is, you don't see the imagination in that right now in the play calling. You don't see like, okay, you know what? We think we have an advantage this week with this matchup. This is how they're going to align. This is their base defense. And when we go into this will be what they do to react to what our formation is. And this is what they'll do when we send somebody in motion. And this is what they're going to do. So subsequently, here's what we're going to do because I really think that we can get, whoever you want. You use what player you want to use. Who do you want to use?
In this case, let's use Toafili because Clemson is susceptible to the wheel again this year.
Okay.
You can see that they have problems with the old wheel.
Well, just like us. So we know all about it.
That's correct.
So, okay, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to feature the athleticism, elusiveness, and speed and hands of Lawrence Toafili. I'm going to get him the ball in a lot of different ways today because that's our playmaker. That's the guy that I can trust. I can't seemingly trust anybody else at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and find a way based on your tendencies, your defense, and what I'm scheming now to counter my tendencies. I'm going to get him open. I'm going to get him in space. He's going to make plays. I don't see that stuff, Tom. Now, it's not like we don't scheme anything open. There have been quite a few open plays for the tight end who has not made the most of his opportunities, he says, as a knowing understatement of the year. You know, I got
a couple of running back drops this year that are killer.
On screens.
Yeah.
Going to need you to catch those.
Yeah, Memphis and, Boston College and Georgia Tech. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and one of them might be a walk-in touchdown. Yeah, that's a toughie. But my point is, I don't see that either. Come on, Mike. Well, you've got a quarterback now that can move, who's not slow as molasses. You're starting him this week. You got to start to build around that. It's going to be tough. Clemson's defensive line is going to manhandle your offensive line, and that really does blow up an awful lot of what you want to do. But I need to see indicators of that, those kinds of things. Like, okay, we're going to utilize this, and we're going to utilize this guy.
Agreed. Yeah, like the last two off seasons, the last two fall camps, the things I got queasy about ended up being true. So I wonder what I'll be queasy about next year. But for last season's team, there's only one football. How do you have a balanced offense or an offense with an identity? You know, we really didn't have an identity last year. There were jump balls, but I mean, it wasn't like Florida State's getting off the bus and they are going to do what? In 2022, you knew they're going to run the football. Last year, it's like, maybe getting some one-on-ones and just kind of chuck it up there and let Keon Coleman go make the play or let Johnny go make the play. Trey Benson will hit a home run. Don't know when. Won't be schemed up necessarily. In fact, the things that are blocked up, we're going to get 1 out of 1 yard. And the things that aren't blocked up, he's going to make a cut and he's going to go 0 to 60 and literally 0 yards to 60 yards, and it's a touchdown. This year for me, the thing I got queasy about, and we did talk about this isn't, Monday morning quarterbacking, over substitutions. Throwing numbers at the problem rather than picking a guy to get into the rhythm of a game and go. Like, for example, again, last week, you see Hakeem maybe get a target or two, make a play, Kentron, and then what? Where is if this is an offense that's built for playmakers, find your 2 or 3, and then do your best to distribute the ball to them with consistency. That's been a problem through 5 games. That's nothing new last week against SMU. Like, they started the game in Dublin with featured plays for Jalen Lucas. And a couple of them were explosive. One of which should have been, but Morlock fell down, and he ends up getting 6 out of it.
Add it to the list.
Well, so even still, you get 6 there, and you're like, wow, good Lord, he's even tough enough to clean up a bad play or a busted assignment, and we turn something positive out of it or make something positive out of it. Then he's not in the game the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
To which Mike Norvell apologizes after it's over and says, I should have gotten him the ball more. That is one of the last times I can remember where you're saying they are featuring this player for this reason. It was Jalen Lucas first half in Dublin. They did it with Toafili a couple of weeks ago only because there were injury concerns, because Cam Davis went down early and Roydell Williams was not available and Sam Singleton didn't do anything with his touch or two. So it was by default Toafili. But you're not seeing that. You're not seeing a featured concept.
Well, again, I brought this up yesterday, I think it was, at the start of Seminole Headlines, and I'll say it, and you and I have had this conversation, Tom. Go back and watch the 2022 Florida State-Louisville game. Go back and watch any of those games where we're outgunned, where we don't have a lot of talent. Or the talent hasn't arrived yet. It's not, it doesn't know what it is yet.
We're going to throw it to Johnny in 2022.
But think about how this all works out. Look at think about the game. Think about the start of the game. You design a chunk play, a 35-yard gain to Cam McDonald's sorry, Cam, average ass. But you get the ball to him.
Yeah.
And there was all this imagination throughout the course of that season, almost as if Mike understood, I don't have everything I need. I'm going to have to really scheme it up. These little plays here, I'm going to spring on people here and there. I'm not saying call the touchdown play. I'm not trying to oversimplify things here, but you saw the imagination and the willingness to go to those things. And I think it was born out of a sort of desperation and necessity.
Yeah, fear of getting smoked, and so therefore,
But I'm saying, like, aren't you in that position now? Shouldn't you be in that position this weekend?
Well, you just got to stop putting 84 in that position, because he would argue, and I think correctly in some circumstances, that I did call a similar play, and it was wide the hell open, and my guy didn't catch the ball.
Yeah,
that's 25 yards, 30 yards. Now, some of the other times, DJ's not seeing it.
Yeah.
Like, this is the other problem. Jordan saw football the way that his coaches saw football. It was developed underneath them, and so he saw things that way. DJ clearly doesn't,
and they can't block it.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you add those two things together, shoot, you might make some plays, but it's not the same. It's not the same. And maybe Brock does. I don't know. They have been so reluctant to pull the trigger to let this kid play that who knows what's going to happen. The one thing that we probably have an appreciation for at this point from Brock is that in a game day scenario, he doesn't have much fear. They had to coach it out of him in the ACC championship game. He checked into and went rogue in the swamp when he came into one play. He checked out of a run call and said, hell with that. I put it in my hand.
I want to throw it.
Mike's going, what are you doing?
Well, a couple of things here. I thought it was interesting. Brock Glenn spoke to the media today. Brock's going to he gets the whole week this time. First time ever with a situation that's not insane. Like, they didn't think that Brock Glenn was going to have to play in the ACC championship game. They thought, what's his face was going to start?
Tate.
Rodemaker. Sorry, I couldn't remember Tate's first name. So they thought Tate was going to start, and then Tate couldn't start. And if you recall, that was on the heels of that concussion, unfortunately, and they figured that there was enough time between the end of the season and the ACC championship game that he would be back and ready to play.
What's interesting is, how can you practice if you're not going to be able to play? How are you cleared for, whatever.
They really didn't think. Well, you have to go through lots of different check marks and things that you have to
it's
do.
not contact and practice. I'm just saying, you're getting your blood up and your heart rate going.
But they thought he was going to start, and the game was going to be, Tate's game. And then literally day of the game, hours before the game, I was in Charlotte. I don't want to say how I got it, but it doesn't matter. I got the news, right? And I called you and went, dude, this could be a problem. And you were saying, well, what? And I go, I can't go with this, but Tate ain't playing tonight. And we were debating about when could I go with it and what's it, because it's medical. So you got to be careful and all that. And you know how Mike is and all. Yeah. But we were talking about, I knew that he wasn't going to play, and that they just found out like at lunchtime. So now you got to go to Brock. You got to go to Brock Glenn, who's not had reps with the ones all week long at all.
So why that leak this week? Not to sidetrack you, but why come out on a Tuesday that DJ's not going to be, or a Monday?
Well,
DJ's not going to be available. Who leaked that?
I just think it was convenient. But the point would be, I don't know.
Mike didn't seem to appreciate it.
Well, I'm sure he's pissed, but nobody cares. Mike doesn't have time to be worried about anything right now.
Dad? Like, who would leak that? To Pete. Anyway.
Listen, it's a nice problem to have, because it gets you to do the thing you should have already done.
That's true.
Anyhow, so here's the thing. Then Brock's other star, obviously, is this crazy ass situation where half your team, 16 of your 22 starters, are out against Georgia. You're like, good luck, kid. Fresh off the snub and a bunch of opt-outs. Go get him. Go get him.
But he played without fear.
He did, and he made a couple plays. Obviously, that got out of control, and you saw what happened there. But he did make a few plays, and he was tough in the moment. So now his next start is this one. But the difference is, although also not ideal, he has known since Sunday he is going to be the starter for this game. You can prep him all week long as the starter, mentally and physically. You can go over everything you need to, the game plan with him. You can find out what he likes, what he doesn't like, what he can execute, what he can't execute. You've got a lot of things that certainly much more beneficial for him this time around than either of the previous two starts. Let's put it that way. And again, I think this is a pretty untenable situation. But I do think with Brock, and I do think with this in this game, Mike's got to let it all hang out, right? You got to have some fun with this as best you can. Look, your season is toast.
That's another thing that's interesting, because at least the rhetoric coming out of the press conferences from practice this week is we've got to make sure we don't turn the ball over. We've got to be more careful with the football. Like, interesting. So why? Wouldn't you rather tell the kid go cut it loose? This is, I don't know.
I don't know what I would say publicly.
It's a
I'm saying
psychology,
behind the scenes, I might be saying something entirely different.
It's a psychological thing, though. We need Brock to protect the ball. Really? All right. Well, I'd like Brock to be on the move and look to make plays rather than try to make mistakes.
I'll just say this really quickly. You're right. I want that too, Tom. But maybe that's the game plan, is to get him off platform and have him moving constantly. I would constantly have him moving. You're going to have to.
You can get their linebackers and safeties out of position too.
They have the best linebacker in the conference, and he's really good sideline to sideline.
Barrett Carter's very good. I'm just saying that there are a lot of breakdowns that they've had against lesser competition this season. This is that old chestnut from earlier this week. It doesn't matter that you see deficiencies from the opponent. You're not good enough to do anything about them. Hopefully, Brock gives you a little bit more of a spark. Well, and he was asked about energy today, and he said that's important because guys respond to energy. I thought that was an interesting answer. Maybe you see a little juice there.
Yeah, sure. Why wouldn't you? I think he's excited to play. I would be upset if he wasn't excited to play.
From the other 10, though, I'm talking.
Yeah, I hear you. But let me just say this. There's a few things here. I thought that Brock Glenn's comments today, when he was asked questions, he was trying to keep it close to the vest, very generic, didn't really have anything of any interest to say. And again, apparently there was better energy at practice today. That's good news, because apparently it hasn't been very good in the last week and a half. So that's nice to hear. It doesn't mean anything to anybody, though, when we hear that. And frankly, and this is not a shot at him, nothing Mike says right now interests me. After these practices, when he's talking to the press, there's nothing he can say that's going to interest you, short of like a revelatory comment that you don't see coming. Something crazy like, guys, I've been meaning to tell you, what, short of some sort of what just happened here kind of comment. He's going to say generic things too. That's all he's going to do. And frankly, that's probably what he should do. I don't need him to say, listen, I'm having a crisis of confidence. I've been crying myself to sleep lately. I was in the fetal position in the shower last night for an hour and a half. I don't need to hear all that. None of that, right? Like,
who knew you could feel so lonely making $10 million a year? I learned a lot this year.
Guys, when they tell you money doesn't solve all your problems, they weren't kidding. I'm rich as hell, and I feel burdened by all of this. Yeah, no, I'm not going to hear any of that. He's not going to say anything of interest. He's going to say, I thought it was a good work day. I thought we were able to rep some things. I thought the energy was good. I thought, don't even bother. Just jog off into your office. I don't need to hear from you at all. None of us do right now. There's nothing, because all anybody cares about is how are we going to play on game day. You've told us about great energy and good work days and nice practices and good execution and things that guys bring to the table. I really appreciate the way they do this. And now nobody cares. Nobody cares. You go out there and get beat 65-7 and then tell me that you had a good work day on Monday. I don't give a damn. Don't want to hear it. And I'm not mad at him. This is not a shot at him. I'm just saying it wears thin very quickly. Very quickly. You're like, really? Another good work day, huh? We're 1-5 taking ass kickings every week with all these great work days, huh? Like that, nobody's going to want to hear that. So I would think behind closed doors, you would want him to be loose. You would say, let it rip. You would say, we're going to have a lot of fun with this, man. You're going to be running every which way to Sunday. I'm throwing the kitchen sink at him. Let's have some fun with this.
Hey, Marcus, you had a good conversation with that client again, huh? Another good meeting? So they're going to sign? They're very enthusiastic. They are.
Yeah.
They have been for 2 months. I don't see a schedule on the books.
Yeah, how'd that lunch go? The fifth one.
Yeah.
Fifth lunch with them.
They're still very enthusiastic.
They are. Each and every time you have that free lunch with them.
They're interested in football, you said? It's November 5th.
Oh.
What football are they interested in?
Yeah. You got to sell that NFL package.
The CFL? I didn't know we had the rights to that.
So I again, let's see some Brock Glenn enthusiasm and imagination and all of that. And again, I don't think it's going to work out for us. Are you at all surprised? And I know we got to go to break. That number continues to sit and hover at 14.5. What is going on? Do you think, I'll posit this. Do you think they're like, oh, man, Florida State woke up and put in a real quarterback? Maybe we get, I could count on DJ to screw this thing up by at least 30 to 40 points, but I don't know about this other guy. He might have a pulse.
What I'll say is, and again, I understand people's alarms going off halfway through what I'm about to say. I watched Clemson play NC State. I watched Clemson play Stanford. And while they are far superior to us, I can see why the number would be under 20. I can. That O-line's not great. But the assumption that you would make as a sharp to set that number is that our defensive line is going to show up and want to play. I don't know. Has it been beaten out of them? I think that's a legitimate question.
I think they'll show up Saturday night at Doak against Clemson. I think you might accidentally be fired up taking the field for a game like that.
I hope so, but I watched them break last week in the second half after it went off of 84's chest.
Well, but again, we got a new quarterback.
You do? Look, I'm making the argument against the 14. I think the 14 is assuming that D-line shows up. If it does, especially in pass pro situations, man, I don't know that Clemson O-line's all that great. I don't know that it is.
Well, let's find out.
They can run the ball,
and
Maffa,
you got to want to tackle him.
Klubnik takes off with conviction.
He's running harder now than he ever has.
Sure, I'm not trying to predict some sort of crazy upset. All I'm saying is I can kind of see where they're coming from. The problem is you have to assume that we play anywhere close to our potential. And I'm tired of doing that. Well, I saw opportunities against SMU in the first half. It kind of went to script. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're not good enough.
I'm not picking us to beat Clemson. And let's make that abundantly clear. I think we're going to get killed.
You're just asking why the number's so low.
I'm shocked that the number continues to be so low.
Yeah.
It's just, at one point it did shoot up to 15.5, but it came back down to 14.5. And it's been 14 or 14.5. It's Wednesday. This is surprising.
So you've got a situation against Stanford last week where I think the score's 20-7. And in the course of that game, Stanford had thrown an interception in the end zone, another interception in the red zone, and gotten stopped again in the red zone. They're down 13. I think that's what Vegas is looking at. Like, well, wait a minute. So you're telling me if they don't make asinine decisions in scoring territory that Stanford's in that game late? And I think that's probably where they're deriving the 14. Not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that's where, if in the flow of the game, Stanford actually should have kind of been in it a little bit better.
Here's the problem with that, Tom, and your theory may be correct. Have you watched us play?
Precisely. That's why I said that on the front end.
I'm saying to Vegas.
Yeah,
I hear you, Vegas. You're a little nervous because the game flow seems to suggest that game against Stanford should have been a lot closer than 40-14. Perhaps. But did you watch our game against SMU? Have you watched any of our games for that matter?
Agreed.
How about that 14-9 barn burner? By the way, the other reason it might be 14.5, and this would be the fairest of reasons. Clemson's played one good team, albeit I think a very, 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 very good team. They got stomped 34-3 in that game. That was Georgia. App State is on fire, and I don't want to pile on because Boone, North Carolina is suffering greatly with the flooding. And I love Boone, North Carolina. My time in Johnson City, I used to drive over there all the time, see my girlfriend. Point is, I feel for those people, but their football program is a mess right now. This is not the App State that pulls the upset over Michigan and others. This is an App State that I don't recognize. And so what? Clemson beat them 66-20. That was the first indicator App State's got issues. App State doesn't usually, even when they play the big dogs, get beat 66-20. NC State's terrible. I know we came into the season thinking that Dave Doran's bunch would be good because he's a good coach and he's done a good job there, and they're usually prepared and they're competent at the very least, and they typically win 7-8 games somewhere in that neighborhood. And they gave up 59 points and they were down 24-0 in the first quarter, 28-0 in the first quarter. It was reminiscent of the game that when they came to Tallahassee in 2013. And I was
actually scoreboard watching, hoping it didn't get to that number that we got to.
Yeah.
Like, don't you do it.
But yeah, that was out of control. I went, well, son of a bitch. Here is Clemson dropping 66 and 59 in back-to-back weeks. Then they dropped 40 on Stanford. They've been very consistent offensively. They've been very, very good. Klubnik has woken up. But if you're Vegas, you might be saying App State, NC State, and Stanford all stink.
Exactly.
They might be saying, that's your point. I'm just illustrating it further. They may think that. The problem is, so does Florida State. So does Florida State. There's no indicator that Florida State's better than Stanford. There's no indicators that Florida State's better than NC State. There might be an indicator they're better than App State, maybe.
Brock Glenn is worth 14 points in Vegas. That's what you're saying.
I mean,
there it is.
I am okay then. Let's assume for a second here, Tom, that Clemson wins this game. You do realize the rest of their schedule looks like this. Wake, Virginia, good game against Louisville, Vatech, Pitt, Citadel, close it out with South Carolina. If you want to jump on Clemson over 10 wins, I would do so.
They can lose to drones.
They could. That might be the last best chance for them to lose because the South Carolina game's at home. And I think by then South Carolina will be checked out. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Real quick before we go to break, let me remind you guys, Shannon Young, my man, loansforknowles.com, Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Shannon's doing kick-ass work, and he is the guy to call, or at least go to that website. Check it out. Find out what I'm talking about here. Interest rates continue to fall. Properties are sitting on the market longer than they have in a long time. If you've been on the fence about purchasing, now is the time. About as close to a buyer's market as we've seen in years, and we'll see going forward. So don't delay. It can cost you thousands of dollars if you wait. Go to loansforknowles.com. See my man Shannon Young. He's forever giving back to the university. Diehard Knoll. We have text conversation. He was up in Dallas. He goes to all the games, cares deeply, and gives to the battle's end, does what he can, and also, more importantly, really good at his job. That, again, is loansforknowles.com.
This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Sellers, are you stuck between wanting to sell your home and waiting for rates to fall? Are you worried about the contingency of having to sell your home? What if you didn't have to? With a 2-1 rate buy down, you can lock in a lower interest rate for the first 2 years of your mortgage and get the home you want now, all while having a higher chance to buy that next home with the contingency of selling yours. If you wait for rates to fall, you risk more competition, sellers less likely to wait, and paying more for that next property. If you're stuck, we need to talk. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. Again, this is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. That's 954-369-6171. And don't forget, for every loan we close for our fellow Knowles, I will personally donate $250 to the battle's end.
Equal housing rent, NMLS number 373031.
We're all going through our own fitness journey. We want to get the most out of our time in the gym or with a trainer. We want to eat the right things and do the right things to be in the best shape possible. Why not find out exactly where you're at in that journey by getting a DEXA scan today? It's the most accurate measurement of all body composition methods. It is the gold standard in what is used in clinical diagnosis, the only method that can determine bone density and give a direct measurement of visceral fat. You can do so and save a bunch of money. That's why I'm here, guys. Use Jeff25 as a discount code for 25% off any of the services at DexaFit. It's not just a DEXA scan. They have red light therapy that helps accelerate wound healing, pain relief, muscle recovery, improve circulation, skin health. They'll also give you tips on personalized nutrition with weight management, fitness optimization. These are all things that you want to do to help correct imbalances. Go see our friends at DexaFit and save right now. Use code Jeff25. Discount code Jeff25 for 25% off any services at DexaFit.
The weather is unpredictable and can cause issues around your home. Weston Trawick provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator cells, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick. Professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
This is Alex from Fulmer. We've been buying gold and silver jewelry, fine watches, and other collectibles for over 45 years. But did you know Fulmer's buys and sells gold and silver coins, bars, and bullion? Don't get scammed online or pay high shipping and handling fees. Call or stop by Fulmer's for a quick and easy quote. No matter if you're new to investing in bullion or have been collecting a lifetime, Fulmer's is your local source for buying, selling gold and silver coins and bullion. Fulmer's, more than you might expect, with 2 great locations. As you probably know, Fulmers buys, sells, and loans on just about anything of value. What you might not know is that when you buy something from us, we guarantee the total satisfaction of your purchase. Buy it, take it home, and if for any reason you decide you don't want it within 7 days, Fulmers will give you 100% of your money back. And if you decide you don't want the item within 30 days, Fulmers will let you exchange it for something you do want. At Fulmers, we guarantee you're going to be happy with your purchase or we'll buy it back. Fulmers, check cashing, pawn service, and sales. 2 times more than you might expect with 2 great locations.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Losing by only 14 would be a massive step forward is a sentiment I can agree with. That is, buddy. Could you imagine how buoyed the fan base would be, maybe even the team, if you're jogging off the field on Saturday night at Doak and the final score is, 35-21, 38-27? You'd be like, oh, we're good again.
38-27, yeah.
You'd be like, are you kidding?
There'd be some pep in everybody's step into a bye week.
You rolling on in here on a Monday going, all right, okay, we got a little something to work with.
Duke has no idea what time it is.
Here comes these ass kickings, all of you.
That's right.
Well, what it would do, it would give you a measure of hope that you don't have now. I'm not even kidding about that.
I'm going to go visit the Devil's Deck, on a Friday night.
You would be like, you know what? That trip to Miami, I might make it. You might do it. It would be pretty funny because otherwise we're just sitting around thinking about.
There have been issues.
That's correct. That's what you'd be thinking about, Tommy. You'd just be thinking about.
There have been issues.
And how frustrating is that? How frustrating is that? I sometimes think about this. When those questions are being peppered.
Well, it's the end of that clip. That's like that's the resignation.
Well, I do think
that's the big money guy walking into his office. Hey, coach, I guess been a kind of a rough year, hasn't it?
He's giving him he's doing the hand thing.
I know you're taking a shot at me right now. Yeah, that's what he's thinking, but I've got to wear it because I need your money again.
Woo, the things you'd put up with now. Remember, we had the joke, the running joke was the Texas A&M booster rolling into Jimbo's office whenever he wants. He's a billionaire. He's given $100 million in the last year alone to Texas A&M. If he wants to have a conversation with the coach, any time that he wants to have a conversation with the coach is the right time. So he's going to walk in and have that conversation, and Jimbo has to do that uncomfortable laughter and pretend that he is happy to see him, which is we've all been there. We've all been in moments where we've had to, there's no way out of the interaction. It's your boss. It's somebody that you have to sit and listen to, and you're like, I just assume punch this guy in the face 50 times and listen to whatever it is he has to say right now.
It's your girlfriend's friend.
Maybe not physical violence to your girlfriend's friend.
No,
but
oh, great. Wendy's coming over.
Oh, you don't say.
Or
what time is she going to be here?
Right. Well, or you come home with the groceries, and like Wendy's sitting on the couch. Oh, hi, Wendy. Babe, a word?
Well, there's that. Or I figured out over the years that any of those kinds of moments usually see me going, oh, man, I forgot. I got to bring something over to Tom. Good to see you, Wendy. And I'm in the car.
And by Tom, you mean Gordo's.
Or anybody, anywhere but here. It could be Gordo's, true. It could be, I hate Walmart, but I would just assume go there and wander the aisles. Just like, okay, here we are.
You know what? I could use some socks. Let's see what Walmart's got going on in the sock
I'm
department.
not in love with my workout shorts like I once were. Let's go see what they got at Target.
You see how many people with open carry I got to walk through to go get me a pair of tube socks.
And then, by the way, the best part is then I send a text to my wife while I'm at Gordo's, Target, wherever we just mentioned, and I do the let me know when she's gone, please.
Right. Staying for dinner? Question mark?
Oh,
in the text.
man, yeah.
She's staying for dinner?
Because remember, babe, I said I had that thing.
Yeah. You guys can order in. Isn't it funny that the tube socks have made the return with the kids?
Wait around long enough, they all do. Everything.
I remember the transition. I was about 4th, 5th grade when they went to the ankle cuts and then the low cuts.
Low cuts have been in style for a very long time.
Yep. 4th and 5th grade was a long
That's
time
a hell
ago.
of a run.
It's a 20-year run, 30-year run almost.
Ohio Noel writes, I'm a long-time JCS and headlines listener from Ohio. My wife and I are flying to Tallahassee this weekend for the Clemson game. I know, not smart. I'd love to meet the great Jeff Cameron and buy you a beer at Corner Pocket or Hotel Indigo. Well, here you go, Ohio Noel. Thank you for the compliment. That's awfully kind. I'd love to meet you too, and I'll be happy to do so. And I don't often turn down beers, so let's do it. I'll be at the Corner Pocket, but it's going to be very specific because my son has an out-of-town game in Georgia on Friday night.
Yeah, by specific, you mean brief.
Yeah, specific time frame. I will be there from 5 to 6. At 6 on the dot, I'm walking. That's how that's going to work, and it has nothing to do with not wanting to hang out with people at the Corner Pocket. Believe me, I rather enjoy that. And it's nice to meet people, especially listeners and
playoff
all that.
baseball.
It's awesome. Oh, yeah.
Wait, no, they're taking Friday off. Can you believe
That's
that?
right. Well, but we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to get us through the week.
Yeah.
Kind of a survival mode there. But plus you have Friday Night Football. But I would just say that please, if you're going to come there, be there right on time or early so I get a chance to meet you, shake your hand, and thank you. Also, if you can't get to Corner Pocket from 5 to 6, make sure you come by the Hotel Indigo. What time are we going to be at Indigo this week?
4 o'clock is my understanding. I'll confirm that today.
All right, cool. So we'll be there for that. That should be fun. And I look forward to it, and I think it'll be a good time. I don't know why, but I keep trying to dare to dream. I do. We're gonna get blown out. I know that, but I want Brock to have a good day because I like the idea of being able to latch on to some, as I said earlier, measure of hope for the remaining games. Something that looks like that you can build around. I was talking about Bill Belichick. He was talking about the stretch play in the Kubiaks, and he was talking about Kubiak's dad, like the young Kubiak's dad, and the stretch play. They ran their offense off the stretch play. And if you think back to John Elway, how deadly that was because of his ability to move, right? So the stretch play, you can run boot off of that. You often do. And it really was the basis for everything they did. They were going to run stretch no matter what. And he was illustrating the different elements within that stretch. Like the stretch is just the stretch, right? So you watch him reach out, do the stretch. He's, and then he shows all these plays off of it. And he's like, but first and foremost, you've got to be able to run that play successfully. That is the basis for his offense. He's like, what do you think the younger Kubiak runs? He's like, and he asks the panel.
Chad Johnson, Ryan Clark,
right.
and then some dude in the middle. I don't know who that is.
No, yeah, you do. It's what's his name? It's
Brock Osweiler.
No, it's Chris Long.
That's Chris Long?
Yeah, it's Chris Long.
He's lost a ton of weight.
Oh, yeah, he looks good. Chris is cool. I've actually had interactions with Chris Long. But anyhow, the point would be they're talking, and then he says, what do you think the younger Kubiak does? And then they're like, stretch. He's like, that's right. Run stretch. That's right. And then what do you think this offense is going to look like? And he shows his protege and where he is now. He's like, I bet he runs stretch, coach. Yeah, he runs stretch, doesn't he? It's the basis for everything they do. So if I'm coaching against it, I'm telling my team, we got to shut the stretch play down before we worry about anything else off of it. And it just reminded me that it can be that simple. You do now have a quarterback that can move. Not for nothing, it has buoyed me that you could figure out a way to utilize that facet of what he does and make it the basis for everything else you're doing. I know that an offensive line that cannot block prohibits you from doing an awful lot. But again, That is especially true when you have a statue, not a mobile quarterback. Now, you now have a mobile quarterback. I'm not telling you he's Jordan Travis mobile or Charlie Ward mobile, but he's mobile.
Yeah, one of their base plays is a read option. It's actually a read option RPO triple option.
Yes.
So you've got the read, so the quarterback can run off of the read option.
Is allowed to keep and go.
He can give it to the running back, or there's a bubble out in the flat
That
with,
is correct.
with blockers that won't block.
And you got to do it now.
So, we could help out by having some blockers who would block out there, but nobody was afraid of DJ keeping in those scenarios because it'd be a gain of 3, even if they forgot about him for a full minute. They'd turn around and he'd still be 2 yards.
They could have gone up into the stands and he wouldn't have gotten into the end zone.
Right. So it might be a triple option, but one of those options isn't really a threat.
Right. So that's also why safeties triggered the second they saw it and blew up the bubble out in the flat you're talking about. They were like, there's no chance he's throwing it over my head. First of all, he's not going to have enough time.
Right. And if he keeps running, I could turn around and go hawk him down, and it's whatever.
There was no real threat. Now there is.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say not for nothing. I'm excited to see how this looks. They're going to lose. Clemson's a lot better. This is going to be ugly. But do I have something that I can look to and say, all right, you can build on that. You can build on that. You can walk out of that stadium on Saturday night, Tom, and it could very well be 55-16. And you're like, well, we got blown out again. But did you see some sustainable elements of an offense that you haven't seen this year? Because that changes the way you look at the next game and the way you prepare in the bye week and what you're going to do off of it. Let's hope. I mean, that's really, you don't have much right now. You might have that. You might.
Well, what I'd like to see out of him is what I'm seeing out of Klubnik, which I didn't think I would say after week 1 because it felt like it was just a continuation of last year's drama and big-time problems. And maybe Florida State's defensive line causes some problems for Cade this weekend, but when he decides to tuck it, he's playing for keeps. That is the thing that drives me nuts about what, and you bring this up all the time. When you watch us versus when you watch other teams, Phil Maffa is committed. It's almost like his life is committed to the run. If you're going to come up and try and be physical, he will run over you if you're not at 100%, and he might still anyway.
Yeah,
Same thing with Klubnik.
He's good at playing football.
When he decides to run, it is full freaking speed. And part of it is we're slow at quarterback. Yeah, I hear you.
Oh,
but
that's an understatement.
But I'm saying that all players seem to be waiting. They're patient. They're waiting to set things up instead of going and moving.
Play fast, man.
Right. Maybe Brock can inspire that a little bit on Saturday.
A DEXA scan is simple. It is painless. It takes virtually no time. And the result will help you eat the right way, work out smarter, not harder, and avoid trendy weight loss pills and gimmicky diets that certainly do more harm than good. So you want to reach your health goals. I talk about this all the time. Go get a DEXA scan. Go to DEXA Fit. It's right over there by Bumpus. You might be, say, 50 years old, but a DEXA scan can reveal that your biological age is actually 60. The DEXA Fit team uses those results to give you a complete, detailed plan, and you can see it real time, tangible results. The next scan shows your biological age, getting closer to your actual age, and all of a sudden you're gaining and feeling more confident and getting better at maximizing, optimizing what it is you're doing from an exercise and diet standpoint. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Following the devastation and damage caused by Hurricane Helene, Florida Chief Financial Officer Jimmy Petronas activated the Disaster Fraud Action Strike Team to educate the Big Bend about post-storm fraud and scams. 13 teams made up of 80 law enforcement officers are sweeping through the Big Bend, informing homeowners about possible signs of fraud as they look to recover. The following are common signs of post-storm fraud: a contractor or service provider like a tree removal or debris removal company or restoration professional who offers to waive or discount your insurance deductible, or if someone has received payment and has failed to provide any repairs to your home. Someone who has offered to provide repairs at a cash-only discounted rate and has failed to provide repairs to your home or has stopped responding to your contact attempts. Those in need of insurance consumer service resources can call the statewide toll-free insurance helpline at 1-877-MY-FL-CFO between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Crobley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Mainly sunny skies this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 88. Northeasterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Mainly clear tonight, lows level off around 69. A blend of clouds and sun tomorrow, 86. Chance for storms Friday and Saturday with highs in the low 80s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 87.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude, I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean, you know.
No, I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Jeff.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Florida, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Jeff Cameron Show rolling on in the midst of being frustrated with my bank during the commercial. You ever do that? I was trying to finish a process, something with my bank, and then something weird happened, and I was like, no, man, that's not true.
So what kind of a marker did you ask for from Hard Rock, and why did you have to get a two-factor authenticator? That's what I want to know.
I have been very active this week on Hard Rock. A lot of great bets. Going to win all the bets, Tom. And I will tell you that I had a good week last week. We weren't on the air for it, unfortunately. Now, the week before, you guys know I went 6-4.
Right.
So we finally got above 500, feeling good.
I think 21-19 is the marker now.
I think we're 21-19 right now. All right. So here we go. You're just gonna have to trust me on this. Had another winning week last week. I won't count it. I won't count it for show purposes, but I did. I had a winning week.
Well, we're moving into a big month on the calendar.
October.
You knew it.
It's
That's
October,
right.
baby. It's not October. It's October.
Minus 1,200. That is the thing on Friday that we hear.
I can't wait. Let's go. I got to tell you, I felt, and it happens all the time these days. You guys know, my fellow 50-plus-year-olds, you know this happens all the time. Like last year, I forget which anniversary it was. It was one of the Led Zeppelin records, and they were like, oh, this Led Zeppelin record is 60 years old. I was like, holy Jesus, this is ridiculous. But there was a post yesterday that Unforgettable Fire by U2 is on October the 1st was 40 years old. So for those of you who don't own that record, don't know, that's the album that kind of spawned superstardom for U2 because of the song In the Name of Love. And that song's still on your radios, and you've heard it a million times. That song's 40 years old. 40, Pride in the Name of Love. 40 years old.
Yeah, so older than me.
It's ridiculous. I saw them at the Sun Dome in Tampa on that tour.
You know, they're still doing shows at the Sphere, but it's a 16K Ultra HD rendering of the shows that you went to live.
Yeah.
But they're still making money off of it.
And it's a movie now.
It's a movie, and an immersive movie is the way they say it.
Yeah.
But I saw a notification on my phone that said they're back at the Sphere. I said, really? And I looked at tickets, and it said $78. I'm like, $80?
Incredibly cheap. Let's go.
Wow. And it kind of hides from the headline
that it's a movie.
that it's a virtual experience.
Oh. That was a really cool thing, man. I had a good time. That was nuts. That was That's
what you do.
It's a good time, man. And what just find it. You see more and more bands are doing this, but it's a to-do, Tom. It is a to-do. But tomorrow's Redemption Thursday is also going to be a to-do. Sometimes we come to the party with a little bit more than just your standard 10. Every once in a while, there's a weekend where I go, we're going to get it on. I'm getting a feel for things now. I'm getting a feel for the NFL. Getting a feel. As much as you can get a feel for the NFL, I'm getting a feel for the NFL.
RS is in the jackpot now. Okay.
But I also have a feel, I think we all do, right about now, for these futures, conference champion wagers. I went through every conference this morning.
Oh, really?
Shibbity-doo, shibbity-doo, shibbity-doo. Don't mind if I do, shibbity-doo. I was sipping my cup of joe, which was particularly good this morning. My coffee was just right. I am a coffee snob, have admitted this for years. I don't like it when my wife makes the coffee. I'm the coffee maker. You don't make the coffee. I make the coffee because you'll screw up the coffee. I'll make it the right way. And she gladly says, fine, make the coffee, you coffee snob. I don't want to make the coffee. You make it.
What's next? Milkshakes?
Well played. So I make the coffee. And the point would be, Tom, today, I outdid myself. Today's coffee at Cafe de Cameron was really good. If somebody had come in from the outside, they'd have been like, this is some coffee.
You had to go walk outside and just ponder it.
And it was nice and cool this morning. So I did exactly that. I walked out on my back deck, sipped a little bit.
4 a.m.
It was 5:17. I always check because there's a clock right by that back door area where the deck is. And I go, what time is it?
Tell you what time it is.
Hour number 3, final hour, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Surprising flavors, cultural authenticity, and unique adventures are some of the main ingredients that go into every single plate served at Café de Martín, Tallahassee's best Peruvian dining experience. Led by classically trained Chef Martín, passion for culture, passion for flavor, and a passion for people can be felt from the moment you step inside. Café de Martín also offers an unparalleled outdoor dining experience in the garden. Surrounded by vibrant flowers and plants, and nestled between carefully curated decor, the shaded and breezy outdoor garden features elegant live music regularly, and the romantic evening lighting makes Café de Martín the best place to share conversation and connect with the ones you love. Every dish is made from scratch, and every drink is handmade by trained bartenders, offering the very best margaritas and old fashions in the city. Take a trip to a Peruvian paradise right here in the capital city. Visit Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Find the full menu online at cafedemartin.com.
I'm attorney Carrie Roan with Basic Brooks Law Offices, and we believe you. Now, what does that mean? Over and over, we hear from the people that we represent that when they share their story of how they were injured, either law enforcement, insurance companies, or business owners didn't believe their story. That's why you need an attorney who has your back no matter what. An attorney who starts by believing that you're telling the truth. We are Basic Brooks, and we believe you. Let's talk. 850-777-7777.
Honey, I'm home.
We're in here, honey.
So why are all my friends here?
Have a seat, Dave. We need to talk about your problem.
Problem? I don't have a problem.
Dave, you do have a problem. A problem with your grill. Here's some pamphlets from Hearth and Patio. They are waiting for your call to help you upgrade your grill.
If you or someone you know needs a grilling intervention, call Hearth and Patio today at 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282 or hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
T-Park Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Park Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those storm leaks. Call 850-766-134. T-Park Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Park Construction.com.
CCC 133-1204. Trying to head out on our annual guys fishing trip. Wait, where's Jimmy?
He just texted me saying he has to swing by his storage unit to get a couple of things. And now there's a truck blocking him in, and he won't be here for another hour.
That wouldn't have happened if he had just called Southeast Portable Buildings and got a unit right on his property.
I love mine. I have so much more space in my garage. Now I can finally park my truck in there.
Give them a call today, 850-580-6400. That's 850-580-6400, or visit them online for all their options at southeastportablebuildings.com.
WBFT Greater Tallahassee, your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas. Brought to you by Palmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee.
Padres shut out the Braves yesterday 4-0 in the NL wild card. Braves look to remain alive today with Max Fried on the mound. He's plus 100 against Joe Musgrove of the Padres, minus 120. The total 7 under at Petco Park. College football Saturday, Florida laying 1 at home with UCF. The Gators are 2-1 against the Knights. The last meeting, 2021 Gasparilla Bowl, UCF over Florida 29-17. Clemson a 14.5-point road favorite at Florida State Saturday, 47.5 the total at Doak Campbell Stadium. Sunday, Jaguars laying 2.5 at home against the Indianapolis Colts. Bundle and save with Progressive. Progressive.com. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. Go visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready.
And get ready for the workday.
Febreze.
Fabric Talk. Hey, it's me, your couch. Today's my favorite day of the week. Febreze Fabric Spray Day. The occasional deep cleans are nice, but in between, you know I'm needing a refresh. Ooh, here she comes with the Febreze Fabric Spray. Oh yeah, spritz them armrests. Don't be shy. Nothing like a good spray down to get me smelling so fresh and clean. Don't forget my back. Nice. Febreze Fabric Spray. It's just that easy. Now we can both breathe happy. Febreze. La 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 la.
Barman, you look so twisted. What did you do now?
Well, Hank the alligator needed his teeth brushed, and when I bent over to give him a scrub, my back popped like an afternoon lightning storm in Florida. And now I can't even stand up.
You need to go to FinChiro.com and schedule your new patient appointment right away at FinChiro.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com.
I'm really busy. I don't want to leave Hank in the orange grove unattended for too long.
Fin Chiropractic will get you in right away, and they get to the cause of your problems. So go to FinChiro.com and make your new patient appointment. There's even an online discount.
Discount? That's a good thing because my purse is a little light since I bought Hank a new gold chain.
You have to take care of yourself if you want to be able to take care of your alligator Hank. Make your appointment now. Go to FinChiro.com.
Well, hold my pina colada. I'm going to FinChiro.com.
Time to head out on our annual guys fishing trip. Wait, where's Jimmy?
He just texted me saying he has to swing by his storage unit to get a couple of things. And now there's a truck blocking him in, and he won't be here for another hour.
That wouldn't have happened if he had just called Southeast Portable Buildings and got a unit right on his property.
I love mine. I have so much more space in my garage. Now I can finally park my truck in there.
Give them a call today, 850-580-6400. That's 850-580-6400, or visit them online for all their options at southeastportablebuildings.com.
This month, new Titan trucks have 0% financing for 60 months. Plus, you get $5,000 off. It's the best truck deal with the best warranty in America. Or get into a brand new Nissan Sentra starting at $420 a month with no money down. Only at Kraft Nissan Tallahassee.
Green, renewable energy means fresher air, healthier residents, new green jobs, and a stronger, more resilient community. How we get there is up to you. Share your input today to help shape the Tallahassee of tomorrow. Take the Clean Energy Survey at talgov.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm feeling bonusy. There you go. Just like, hey, it's kind of a bonusy thing. Feel good. Feel good. Tomorrow's Redemption Thursday. The wagers will be ready to roll. I'll have a bunch of them. I'll throw in some NFL style stuff. Did you know, Tom, that there have been injuries? So there's all this theory. There are a bunch of theories as to why NFL quarterback play has been diminished in the last few years, and that we're seeing fewer average yards per pass in the league than ever before. But we know that in the NFL, these things ebb and flow. Defenses get ahead of offenses. Offenses figure out what defenses are doing. Usually it centers around the use and the deployment of looks in the defensive secondary, safeties. Usually all stems from 1 high, 2 high, those kinds of things, and what coverages you have off of that, whether it's cover 3, whatever it might be, right? And then teams figure out how to exploit, because it certainly frees you up to use the rest of your personnel, depending on how you use your safeties. And then offenses figure out how to exploit that, and then the tide goes back to offenses. And then defensive coordinators are like, oh, yeah? Well, you've never seen this before, and we've got hybrid freaks out here, so I can put a linebacker and have him cover your receiver, because even though he's 238 pounds, he runs a 4.3. So suck it. Here's what I'm going to do. He's going to be up here mugging the line of scrimmage, and then he's going to sprint over and cover Tyreek Hill. It's crazy, right? Like the stuff we see from those athletes. They're the best athletes in the world. It's insane.
It's all very sudden.
It happened. Oh, God. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It blows me away. I thoroughly enjoy it. Anyhow, back to my point here about what was my point about the NFL? We were talking about quarterback play and how it's been struggling and points are down and all these different things. Well, the other part of that, and the biggest part of that, or so it seems, and I love that we've now had this conversation. You and me, in the course of our time together on the air, have seen a sea change in defensive football because of body changes. We're watching evolution in play on the football field, on the gridiron. You can say that we watched a freak of our own in Jalen Ramsey. Guys like him changed football forever. What defenses could do, coverages. It wasn't all that long ago that corners were pretty standard, 5'9", 5'10", Darryl Green types who could fly, and they get in your hip pocket and go.
Yeah, drop Quindarius Jones into, college football 15 years ago, and people would have been like, what?
It would be stunning. You did not see 6'2", 6'3", 6'1", long-armed.
He's got to be a safety or a receiver.
Right.
That's the only two things he can play. He can't play corner.
That's right. And you'd see that. You'd go, there's no way. He's not going to be fast enough. We also saw the evolution of receivers who went from speedy, smaller types to big. I mean, what is DK Metcalf if nothing but a freak? Nobody should ever be that big running that fast. It's insane. And so when you see these body types and you think about what's needed to slow those things down and how do you adjust, well, once receivers got a lot bigger, a lot longer, a lot stronger, and still possess that speed, you needed freaks. You needed hybrid players like Jalen Ramsey and others who could come up in the run game but also cover somebody at that size and not just have a situation where they're throwing jump balls. And I don't care how good an athlete you are. If you're 5'9", you're dead. I mean, if he's 6'4" and you're 5'9", you lose most of the time, especially if that other guy's a really good athlete. You lose, all things being equal. So we've seen that change. Well, now where it's most apparent and where coaches, and I've read a lot of articles about this in the last year, and I find it all fascinating. And when I say it, you're going to go, yep. When you look at matchups, running backs, let's say trying to cover tight ends or tackle a running back, that's still pretty much the way it was 20 years ago. Like I can find a linebacker. Kuechly could do all those things. You can find guys that in that matchup, there wasn't an appreciable difference in overall size and athleticism. Like my linebacker can come in and fill and tackle your running back. He can cover your tight end. If you looked at in what we've seen in the last 10 years, it's kind of leveled off a little bit at wide receiver and corner. We've certainly seen in other areas.
Well, we saw the evolution of tight end, You know, like
Yeah, that changed.
Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, you know,
Yeah, changed the game. Former basketball players.
Of course, Gronk was in there too. Now, he wasn't a basketball player on the level like the other two were, but the body types that are real problems. And then the counter to that is large safeties or large slot defenders, where that used to be the land of 5'9" quick corners.
That's correct.
Now you've got slot defenders that look more like a Derwin James or a Cam Chancellor.
All right. So here you go. Where has it changed the most now lately? The answer to that is, I think you know this, right?
Well, I was going to guess interior defensive line. I've got a theory on that after you're done with this.
All right. That's not correct.
It is.
It's not.
I can prove it.
I want to hear your theory. I'll give you this. I'm going to give you partial credit, and I like where your head's at. Yes, the difference between defensive linemen and offensive linemen in general is where we're going to have the conversation. Specifically, the difference in athleticism between a defensive end and a tackle is appreciable in a way that it's never been. If you look at defensive ends and the players that play that position, and you look at offensive linemen, offensive tackles in particular, you will see a great disparity in overall athleticism. And that's where teams are desperate to try to find these tackles, right? And they're all freaks themselves if you can find one. 6'6", long arm, can bend, good feet. You have to have all of that to have a shot at the freaks that play defensive end these days. These guys, incredible flexion. It's unbelievable how low and the lean and the strength and the explosiveness and the speed at that size at 265, 270, out of control. Well, I bring that up because it's having a direct impact on this year's offense of football in the NFL. Offense is way down across the league. These games aren't wild, high-scoring games, even though all the rules are in favor of the offense. They're typically right now pretty low-scoring games. That's why it was refreshing the other night to watch that Detroit-Seattle game. That was a well-played game. If Metcalf doesn't fumble going in, I mean, that game's going to come down to the wire. That's a fun game because it's kind of different than most of the games we've seen. And they're pointing out now, for whatever reason this is happening at an alarming level, there have been 22 starting tackles in the NFL that have missed time already this year due to injury. 22 starting tackles, Tom, on offense that have missed games, in some cases multiple games. And, there's a lot of people wondering specifically why that is. Why is that happening? Some people do counter with it's because these guys that they're trying to block are freakishly athletic. They are able to do things both from a power and speed standpoint that we've never seen before. Pretty remarkable. Now, I think it carries over to a certain degree, Tom. You're right. Defensive linemen, even the interior defensive linemen, are more athletic than offensive linemen. They just are.
They are. Well, and what I'm seeing are some trends with defensive interior, but really quick, just to follow up, we saw how Aiden Hutchinson destroyed the Buccaneers' right side of the offensive line.
5 sacks.
So this note came up yesterday. He's got 40 pressures this season so far. Aiden Hutchinson does. 40 quarterback pressures. The next closest player has 23. 40 to 23, first and second place.
Wreaking havoc.
That's unbelievable. But my point on defensive interior guys.
Now remember, I think he's gone against 2 backup tackles.
Sure, but he's clearly doing.
It's Herculean. But I'm saying there's an example where you have an elite player who's an elite athlete, and he's going up against backup tackles.
I feel like, okay, I just talked about Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez and the legacy of that type of player. Like that tight end, that kind of tight end is everywhere now.
Oh, everybody's got one.
You could say that Cam Chancellor or pick like Polamalu or whoever you want and say that everybody's got that kind of a safety now, or that prototype is more part of a natural order of the game. That Megatron led the way for a lot of people. Like DK Metcalf is in the ilk of Calvin Johnson.
He's actually smaller than Calvin Johnson, but it is amazing.
The idea that somebody that large can be that athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Aaron Donald has led the way for there to be athletic freaks in the interior.
Tackle.
Yes, because, okay, so the Buccaneers last week had several plays and sets for Vita Vea where he's lined up out wide, like wide 9 wide to go against the tackle. We've done it with Josh Farmer. You see Chris Jones line up all over the place for Kansas City.
Is nuts, yeah.
But like it is no longer just a position of Gilbert Brown's and Tony Saragusa's. The interior of the defensive line is athletic as it's ever been, and yet those guys still hold up against the run. So it's interesting that you brought up edge rusher, but I think across the board, you're starting to see, much like there are hybrid linebackers 15 years ago that were 230 that could run like the wind blows. Now you have these hybrid defensive linemen who can line up in different places. They can line up near the ball, outside, and they have an impact in both ways.
Well, and it does certainly highlight the difference in athleticism, in strength, speed, explosiveness between defensive linemen and offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Look at what Fisk did here. I mean, he could have lined up anywhere. That body type is playing at the next level too.
Yeah, he's playing well.
It's just, I think that's more of the norm now, is that you've got guys who are so disruptive in the interior that it's not just about plugging the gap and forcing you into a 2nd and 8. They are disruptors, and they can line up against a tackle and still be more athletic than a tackle in some circumstances.
Speaking of what must be frustrating, you're talking about how everybody has, like, the modern tight end. We don't have one in Tampa. Cade Otton is slow and drops too many passes, by the way. He's a serviceable player, but he's not a difference maker.
Gloves have been invented, Cade. I know you want to look tough, for crying out loud.
He drops too many passes for my liking. He's not a terrible player. He's just, at that position, he's not a game changer.
He's catching a touchdown tomorrow, though. Short week games mean guys like Cade Otton stand out.
All right, we'll go pizza money on Cade Otton. Anytime touchdown for Cade Otton.
Anytime touchdown.
Buddy,
Yeah.
I like where you're going there. That's going out on a ledge because Cade hadn't sniffed anything lately.
Short weeks, you have weird plays. It's like a Sunday matinee in baseball in June or July. Bet on the backup catcher for a home run or something.
Well, here's what I was going to say. This is why it's all the more frustrating for a team like Atlanta. If you're a Falcons fan, right about now you're saying, hey, man, why does Kyle Pitts suck? We've been sitting out here waiting on Kyle Pitts for since we drafted him, which was in 2021. When's Kyle Pitts going to make a play? I was thinking about this the other day. I mean, it's pretty crazy. You just got done doing it, right? Jimmy Graham, Travis.
Jimmy Graham, thank you. I didn't
yeah. Jimmy Graham, Travis Kelce, Greg Olsen, Antonio Gates, on and on and on. All these guys, one after the other, kicking ass. And we were told Kyle Pitts was the next in a long line of incredible athletes playing the position.
He might be the next O.J. Howard.
Garbage ass. And it's interesting. I mean, I think if you're Atlanta, you would probably say he's a bust. He's just a bust. And that's got to be frustrating as all hell. You go back, and I was just reading an article about this morning. I just pulled it up just now because I wanted to double check the year that he was drafted. And, you thought that Pitts was going to fit in that long line of guys that I just alluded to. Arthur Smith, who at the time was newly hired in Atlanta, he had been the offensive coordinator and, that's right, tight ends coach with the Titans. So when he wanted Pitts, everybody's like, sure, freak of an athlete, was incredible at Florida, is a guy that seems surefire. And since you've had success with the likes of Delaney Walker, he had success with the Titans, he was there forever. And guys like that put up huge numbers. You're like, oh, okay, well, that's going to be smart. You don't like to draft a tight end in the top 5, but we will for this case because this guy coached tight ends.
We're going to run the ball a bunch.
Yeah, and he's produced. He's produced, a strong running game with Jonnu Smith. Yeah,
right.
all
I'm
that.
not saying like he's blocking. I'm just saying when you run the ball a lot, then the tight end becomes that much more valuable as a pass catcher. Yeah, absolutely.
So apparently, from what I read today, was that they could not get him, meaning Pitts, to do any of the things that the aforementioned tight ends could do. Couldn't stretch the field any further than they did, or even as much as they did, and he really couldn't block. So all of a sudden, when he wasn't getting the depth of target that they expected based on the athleticism, they're like, uh-oh, that's got to be the worst feeling in the world when you take a guy who you say, all right, look, man, this guy, we're drafting him. We know he is not Gronk. Gronk would drive people into the stands. Gronk was an elite blocker, maybe the best ever at the position, who also possessed the receiving skills. A lot of times you'll have a guy who's a great blocker, but he doesn't have the receiving skills, or he's a great receiver and he doesn't have the blocking skills. Kyle Morlock has neither. So That's a tough one. Then you got a bust on your hands, and it's time to move to Landon Thomas. Sorry about that, Kyle. Thought I'd point that out. But in this situation, can you imagine the moment you're the GM? Imagine the moment you're the coach, that you're, it's just kind of weird. Like you thought.
I want to build everything around this guy. Yeah.
Well, and also, like, and it could be reversed. He could have much greater speed and have the agility and the ability to get downfield, but your offensive scheme doesn't call for that. And now all of a sudden you've got a square peg round hole, Bjorn Warner. And I actually think that's more what happened with Pitts in Atlanta, was that he was the guy that could get downfield, can't block for you at all. You want to run the ball a lot, so he's not always on the field for you in that situation. And then you don't have these long developing plays where his speed could be utilized. And therefore, you've got a situation where you drafted a guy, you fell in love with a guy's athleticism, and you don't have an offense set up to utilize it. Currently, Mike Norvell's system could be described as what was once called a playmaker offense, an offense for playmakers, as he liked to say. I mean,
what is it?
What is it?
Yes.
What is it right now? It's none of those things.
It's a collection of different things. Like,
it's a hodgepodge.
It is a hodgepodge when you start to feel like maybe they got a little bit of something going with the RPO and the glance, like very basic things, which we did last week. Early on in that game, SMU kept on biting on the run fake on the RPO. That's the touchdown. That's a play earlier in the drive to Ja'Kai, the long play. Basic stuff. Mid-level defenders climb up. Didn't see a whole lot of it after the early part of the game. A couple weeks ago against Cal, you saw split zone, you saw inside zone, you saw straight ahead running. Had some pretty good success.
Mm-hmm.
Got away from it in the middle of the game. Went more to counter. That's the thing that'll drive you nuts.
I'm just begging for us. I mean, he talks about simplification all the time. Can we just inside zone, hat on a hat, run downhill?
Well, and there's precedent for that with Mike. The Miami game in 22 is the easiest one, but they did that multiple times that year, where they're saying there's nothing you can do to stop this, so we're going to continue to do it, or you haven't shown a willingness to come up and stop it. They did it at Syracuse as well. Like where they ran different variations of the same play. That is what Clemson does. That is the most scary to me, is they'll just give it to Maffa. Sometimes it'll be counter, sometimes it'll be inside, sometimes it'll be outside. But if you're not man enough to come up and stop Phil Maffa, then they're just content to give it to Phil freaking Maffa. And that guy is a truck.
You worried about our linebackers this week in that situation?
What am I? In any situation. I'm worried about them right now. Where are they? Do they know?
Oh, I've been worried about this for how long?
I mean, really? Like, I'm worried about them. Where are they right now? They know where they are?
What are they doing?
Do they know? Do they like come up down the hallway and there's a couple of doors down the hallway and they don't know which one to pick?
If you had a Twinkie and you said, I should toss one of these and share my Twinkie with Kyle Morlock.
Oh, dude.
Would you toss him a Twinkie, or would you think he's just going to drop it and ruin it? Maybe I'll give it to somebody else who I know will catch this Twinkie. Kyle, never mind. Lawrence, here you go. Here's a Twinkie. Like, is that how that would go?
Maybe. Here I thought I was getting a little uncomfortable, and then you're like, well, let me throw a little Twinkie joke at you.
Oh, it hurts. The tried and true ad program will give you much needed exposure and boost your company, their services, all of it out there for the people to see. Up on the wall of your favorite restaurant, your favorite bar, in the lobby at your local dentist's or orthodontics office, whatever it might be, right? This will be free to you, by the way. If you sign up with my friends at Tried and True, they'll put that ad board up for you. Hell, you can watch programming on it and then have down on the bottom just whatever your specials are for the day. If you want to know more about it and this interests you, and it should, give my friends Don and Joe and Rusty a call at Tried and True Consulting. Let's get it done now. 844-464-6653, 844-464-6653.
I have personally known Curtis Richardson for over 15 years, and I want you to know that he is the kind of person we need on City Commission. Curtis is committed to building a stronger Tallahassee by improving public safety, supporting economic development, and responsible growth. Curtis Richardson has the kind of values we can trust to keep Tallahassee the all-American city. I am Matt Drake, and I support Curtis Richardson for the City Commission seat 2.
Paid by Curtis Richardson, nonpartisan for Tallahassee City Commission, seat 2.
Pinch a Penny Pools has the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the city. You might even call it Tallahassee's hot tub hub. 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, with over 50 of them on site. Over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But I digress. So why should you own a hot tub from Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Number 1. Health benefits, of course. The healing powers of soaking in a hot bubbling pool of water go back centuries. Google it. Number 2, Pinch a Penny has hot tubs with technology called Freshwater IQ. It gives you real-time chemical readings and tells you exactly what to add to keep the water at peak perfection, with automated analysis to help you control the chlorine and pH. It's hot tubs for dummies. Sign me up. Number 3, they have the best prices, of course. Plus you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
You want me to mow your grass? I will mow your grass. You want me to blow your roof? I will blow your roof. Do you want me to pull your weeds? I will pull your weeds.
Are you tired of people screaming at you on the radio and TV? Yeah, me too. That's why I use the Lawn Johns for my lawn care and landscaping.
Hey, it's Mark from the Lawn Johns. We're not here to hype, just here to help. Go to thelawnjohns.com or look for our big purple truck.
Big purple truck?
Oh no, stomach issues again? Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools. I thought it was my stomach. People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
What time's your game, Tom? Your game is 7:30 tonight?
I think it's 7:38. Yeah.
Way things worked, by the way, yesterday. Wasn't that glorious? I mentioned the times of the games and how quickly this all played out. We got a 0-0 game right now between the Tigers and the Astros. Great game yesterday. Tigers get the win. Good for them, 3-1 yesterday. And Tariq Skubal did what he does, which is toss 6 shutout innings yesterday. It was really, really good. Gave up 4 singles, struck out 6. Had a couple of 5-pitch innings in there to boot. That's always refreshing.
You know who the opener was today for Detroit?
I think I saw that.
Tyler Holton.
Yeah, Tyler Holton. And he did well.
He threw a clean inning. 1 strikeout, retired him in order.
I'm like sending out positive vibes into the baseball universe for my man Irish Affel, because as happy as one could be for Cole Reagans yesterday, I mean, this young Orioles club has gone to the postseason in back-to-back years. They've yet to win a game. They're 0-4. And they gave up all of 1 effing run. It is brutal to think about. I mean, they got everything they needed out of the start. They can't score a run.
Yeah, he texted me today because I'm doing the report with you at 5 o'clock. We're taping the Warchant report at that point, and he said, "Hey, appreciate that. I want to see if my team's going to score at least 1 run before the season's over."
Ira, if you're listening to the show, I don't do this out of cruelty, but rather just to highlight an amazing thing about how baseball can be cruel. Here you go. Now, you had time to turn off your radio if you were listening. Baltimore has lost its last 9 postseason games dating back to 2014. They're 0 for their last 9.
Our ass is in the jackpot now. Okay?
So the getting to the playoffs thing has led to infinite frustration. It has been a whole lot of grand opening, grand closing.
At least the season's short, so there's not a whole lot of buildup to it.
I mean, that's tough. Hey, listen, his team's, up on my team. We're nowhere near the playoffs. But sweet Jesus. We did take out the Reds in a series when we were there. And, there were some moments there. But,
that is hard. That's hard to believe.
Well, remember, we couldn't have known it last year when Texas swept their ass that it was a precursor to them winning the World Series.
Right. That's where if you just get into this silly little baseball tournament thing, you have a fighting chance. And that's where, for somebody like me, there's whiplash, because the last time we were on the air, actually in this very time slot, this hour.
Yeah, the Lindor home run occurred.
Wow, it was amazing.
When I said it to you, I'm like, yeah, you guys just took the lead in the ninth. You're like, what?
Right, yeah, because I was focused on the segment. And
well, you had a 6-run inning, then you gave up 4.
We gave up 4 as we were coming back on for that segment, so I turned it off, because there's nothing more distracting than when your team is playing during our shows, but especially when they're disappointing you, because
pissing you off.
Then you hate check. Your eyes keep on darting. This is ridiculous. And I thought you were joshing with me.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that to you, man. I know how much it means to have a team get to the postseason. We were there in 2015.
But it's 2 days later, and you have a chance to move on to the next round. Like that, geez, that's fast.
It's very quick. For you guys, it was an 8-4 win. Severino was terrible early. You're down 2-0, then you're down 4-3. But then obviously you bounce back, as you've been doing lately, and the old 5-run fifth. You've been having big innings.
Yeah, it comes in bunches. That's a good team, though. Milwaukee is very good.
I like Vientos, by the way, for you guys. I really like him.
Unafraid.
He's a good player.
2 hits.
JD Martinez also had a hit, and he's just a professional hitter. So there we go. Padres blanked the Braves, who were up against it, man. They're done. And that was especially true when Chris Sale couldn't pitch and then isn't on the roster right now for this series. So he's not coming back this series.
It's been 2.5-3 weeks. That's one of the reasons I didn't want to sweep on Monday, because San Diego's got it together too. And you'd have to fly out the extra time zones, the wear and tear. They've had a remarkable season. And that's not me being, tongue in cheek. Like, really, the Braves have done something that many Mets teams couldn't in the past with Ray Ramirez as their trainer. Weather devastating injuries and put together basically a 90-win campaign.
I was saying to you during the break that if I'm a Braves fan, even if I want to have fun and chide, from the bully pulpit here, I would tell you that and I'm not a Braves fan, I'm impressed. I think it's, listen, if they get swept out of here today and it's over, they ought to just be proud that they got to the postseason. And I'm not like, this is not, chiding you, as I said. I'm not talking down to you. That team was riddled with injuries, and that's just a really good organization that can overcome all that and get to the postseason.
Sure. And yet for us, we have the payroll that looks like we have a team flooded with superstars. But, when Severino and Sean Manaea and David Peterson are your top 3 pitchers, we're in a similar place where if they bow out, let's say they lose tonight and tomorrow, that would be really frustrating. But this is just a successful season. That payroll doesn't match the dudes you see in the history in the back of the baseball card. And it's for a different reason. It's a success. Then there are other years, like 2 years ago, where the Braves ripped my heart out of my chest. We won 101 games and didn't win the division.
Well, it's like when we won 98 games and didn't win the division.
And it was, you play the Padres, thanks for playing. 3 games later. Like that was a disappointing. You could finish in a 3-game division series or wild card series and lose this year and feel so much better. If I'm a Braves fan, no matter what happens tonight, and you might win because you can pitch. That team can pitch.
Yeah.
But that's a really good year with all the things they've had to weather.
And it's been a really, really good year for Major League Baseball. I referenced it in hour 1 and said I'd get to it again here, but MLB had its best attendance, and that's at the gate across the board. Its best season in the last 7. That is, basically, look, here's what you ended up. It rose by a marginal amount in terms of the average attendance at a Major League Baseball game. But basically, what baseball saw this year was that 71.35 million fans bought tickets over the course of 2,413 gates for an average of nearly 30,000 per game. 30,000 per game for a 162-game season or an 81-game home schedule is really good. I mean, that shows you how local. It's like the NHL. Major League Baseball has become very, very local market. It is no longer, we all know this, it used to be called the nation's national pastime, right? We knew this. It was the sport. Football is the sport. Everybody's got that. It's not even close. Football is so far and away above every other sport in this country anyhow, that it's not to be compared with. You don't even bother. If you're basketball, if you're hockey, if you're Major League Baseball, if you're any other sport, just try not looking at the NFL ratings and attendance records and all that because you aren't in the ballpark.
You might as well not look at college football either.
Right, because you're getting smoked by them too.
For the top 20 games of the year.
Right. So, it's nuts. By the way, there's remind me that you just said that here because I'm going to give you an anecdote about that too. But for baseball, if you're a very healthy sport, if you're averaging 30,000 fans a night for 81 home games, that's doing some things.
That's why those contracts are so large, is because you have more frequency of games. Like people are saying, how do baseball players get paid so much? Well, they play 10 times as many games as the NFL does.
Yeah.
They should be making more money.
So, by the way, did you know that the Dodgers have led the league in attendance every year since 2013?
I could have guessed it. It's a giant ballpark.
Yeah, I guess maybe I didn't realize how big, and the product is awesome.
Is it 55?
Go look it up.
Something like
look
that.
up what the Dodgers are. I don't know what it is, but it's. I mean, they have dominated. The pandemic year I didn't count the pandemic year.
56,000.
You want to know who, in terms of money and attendance and all that, came in second? Who you got to guess?
Ooh,
that's a fun one.
Houston,
the Phillies.
Oh man, their fans really are.
Well, they're awesome fans, and that's a great ballpark. Been there twice, and they got a good product.
They're bloodthirsty people. They're
passionate.
They're ridiculous people, but they're excellent baseball fans.
And the product is awesome. Like you've got a fun team to watch play baseball. They've been awesome all year long.
Trey Turner is a cheat code.
He's really good,
and he's not even the best player they have on their team.
No, not even close. And also, don't throw him a fastball. He doesn't hit anything else but a fastball. So stop throwing him fastballs.
Well, here's hoping that's a text you can send me on Saturday because we're playing head-to-head.
The Phillies today are playing a simulated game.
Smart.
So all of the teams that were so pissed off a year ago, right, with this whole situation where they're like, oh, we became dormant and stagnant because we didn't play and we had all this time off, and the Phillies said, screw that. They're having 2 team captains. They get to pick the teams, and they're playing each other in with real umpires. They're inviting the real game. Like, they're going to do it up. Let's play to win.
They invited fans?
Yeah. Originally, that's what I read. I don't know if they followed through on that. I haven't seen.
That's a good idea, though.
Smart.
It's like a pep rally.
Well, and if you're a fan of that team and you can, let's say you have your own business, you'd go to that game. Open up the concessions. Let's get loose on a Wednesday and watch a simulated Phillies game.
And just put the games on the big screen.
It would be fun.
Oh,
there it is. There it is. Well, it's not unlike when we go to Amelie to see the Lightning play. You got that whole outside area. That's amazing. All hockey clubs do that now.
Yeah, you know what? This is a gold mine. Florida State needs more money, right? Of course they do.
Sure. Who doesn't?
Let's get up in the Lang Memorial Champions Club, get a little all-you-can whatever price, and for the playoff, the invitational that we won't be a part of.
Nowhere near it.
Hell, Army-Navy conference
Hit
championship
the big
weekend.
games. Yeah, have a good time.
The NFL playoffs. Yeah, let's do it.
Food's got to be better. I got to see a better effort out of the food. Let's get our vendors need to do the. Come on now.
This is one place I miss out. I don't go.
Well,
I've got the post game.
You're not missing in good food. I can tell you that.
How are the Lines doing? Getting into the game fast?
I haven't been recently.
What's Dad say? They getting in?
Yeah, there's no problem getting in right now, but just.
I had a guy reach out to me this week on the boards saying, in a personal message saying he's taking his kids for the first time. Always want to go to a game. Any recommendations? I said, get there early.
Yeah.
So that
you want to do that anyhow if it's your first time and you're taking kids, because you don't want to risk missing out on Chief Osceola.
Of course not. Or the band, the pageantry.
All of it,
the pageantry stuff.
You got to do all that.
But they don't have the reputation for getting you inside the building very quick, so make it early.
Well, I've bitched about that enough to the point where I've heard from people, but I don't care. I don't care. Get it together.
What, are you threatened?
It's just
to cut your brake lines?
It's just ridiculous. Everybody, get us in and out of the games. I don't need to be a sitting duck out here, shoulder with a bunch of a-holes. Let's go.
How are the concession lines? Your dad report on that?
Yeah, no problem. Well,
I think that's better.
Yeah, that is better. I don't think he had a problem this last game. Well, you know what? To be honest with you, the last two games I've been to, and the last game that he's been to everyone, we just give my kids the money and tell them to go get it. So I don't really know. That's the beauty of having your kids.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah. Here, you want something to eat? Yeah, me too. Here's $50. Go make it happen.
As a kid, you loved that too.
Yeah,
because it gave you a bit of a choice and it
responsibility,
gave you a mission.
Yeah, and you got to be adult-like. And Yankees were fourth. The Padres were actually third. Great ballpark, good fans. The Braves were on this list as well as in the top 5. The Battery's awesome. You've been. It's really good.
Oh, man.
It's really, really good. Here's the best news overall for Major League Baseball. It's been a season in which they made more money than they have in a long time. Attendance has been better than it's been in any year in the last 7 years. The ratings continue to climb upwards. The local product has been fortified. And the latest study, and there's been 2 of them, I should say studies, is that Major League Baseball's audience got younger each of the last 2 years. And that's because you're not asking a 21-year-old to watch a 3.5, 4-hour game. You're letting them watch a 2.5 hour game.
Right. And when you have that expectation, if it takes a little longer, you're invested. That's okay because you got through the door, by changing the channel and putting it on. Out of curiosity, do you have the whole list or just the top 5?
Just top 5.
Okay. I was going to say, because I think we were probably around 20. Because I just wanted a chance to complain about how impossible
it wasn't my fault.
To
I went to a Mets game this year.
Oh, I went to 5. But the problem is it's impossible to get there in a timely fashion.
Well, you put the damn ballpark in the middle of nowhere. There's no reason for that park to be there. There's nothing to do there. It's silly.
It is.
I mean, I'm not trying to take shots. But
no, I agree. I would have been to 12, 15, 20 games if I could get there within a half an hour. It takes an hour to hour and a half, and I'm 7 miles away, literally.
It's like the furthest part of Queens. It's like, what are we doing?
Well, you're basically hitting the Whitestone to go up to Westchester. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, we got to do better than that.
So Upstate has it fine. Us? No.
Yeah, it aggravated me.
Don't mind me. I just live in Queens County.
The park itself, by the way, is great.
That's gorgeous.
It's a nice park. Did a good job with it. But, God, dog.
And if you want to go to the city, you better be having a hotel overnight. Everybody says, take the train. Yeah, great. Where am I going when I get in the city at 10 o'clock at night? I can't get back to home anywhere.
Luckily, those ferries run till all hours of the night, buddy.
They don't. Last ferry to Rockaway is at 9. So you have to get a hotel.
Yeah, that's a toughie.
Yeah.
I thought the last ferry was at 10. On the weekends? You get a late ferry on the weekend.
Brother,
you get a late weekend on the
I got on that ferry a lot.
Oh, listen, promo code Warchant. Make sure your boys have the salve, have the lotions that'll make you feel better when you're on those long walks. When I go on the long walks with the dogs, I've got 2 big old dogs now. They're both insatiable. They want to go walking all the time. Well, it's been hot. It's hot in Florida. Newsflash. Crazy, humid. And I take these two biggins on walks all the time, but my boys are comfortable. I'm talking about my boys, not the dogs. My boys are good to go, thanks to Manscaped. You get the crop soother, Tom, not the crop dusters you once called it.
That's correct. I think it's my first opportunity to denote what the crop is.
No, you get the crop soother. You get that balm, that salve. You're feeling good. Also, trim it up. Can't have nose hairs out here chasing people down. We can't have ear hair shooting out like we're Andy Rooney. Get it together, everybody. Trim it up. Present yourself. Be comfortable. You save 20%.
That's right. Free shipping, too.
Use the promo code Warchant. Pretty simple. Promo code Warchant, manscaped.com. Make it happen. Save you some money. Make sure the boys are feeling good.
Your local news now.
Tri-County Electric Co-op announced Monday that most inland communities should be at least 75% restored by Friday, with some communities sooner. 1,800 linemen are in communities working to restore power to the main lines, the ones that line the larger roadways. It has to be fixed first, and then they will start making their way down into neighborhoods, side roads, and long driveways. Anyone who needs to report an outage or needs an updated restoration timeline should continue to check Tri-County's website. A two-car collision Sunday morning killed a 22-year-old woman and left a 21-year-old man with critical injuries. The crash happened near the intersection of Old Woodville Road and Woodville Highway. The SUV driven by the 21-year-old man crossed over the median into oncoming traffic for unknown reasons. The SUV slammed into a sedan driven by the woman who was traveling in the opposite direction. The woman was killed from her injuries and the man was taken to Tallahassee Memorial with critical injuries. The crash is currently under investigation. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at macklemoresystems.com.
Now, here's your Paul's Termite and Pest Control Tallahassee weather report.
Rain chances staying low, periods of sunshine along with some cloudy conditions the next few days. Highs staying in the mid to upper 80s with lows near 70. Higher rain chances may return to the forecast by late week. Tonight, mostly clear, low of 69. Thursday, mostly sunny, 20% chance of rain, high of 88, low of 71. Friday, 30% chance of rain, partly sunny, high of 86. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
For the elimination of termites, pests, and for a greener lawn too, call Paul's. They'll get them all.
Leaky faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet? M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
Siri, tell me a joke. If your house is cold, just stand in the corner. It's always 90 degrees.
All jokes aside, the trained professionals at Mac & More Systems are serious about Apple products. For all your Mac repairs, call Mac & More Systems at 894-3622. 894-3622.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is sponsored by Shannon Young with Fairway Mortgage Corporation. He's so good, he's even got Jimbo's Christmas tree pre-approved for a new home. Visit loansforknowles.com.
Nothing still in the ALWC. Yeah, that's right. ALWC. Nothing.
The Alwick.
Over under 9.5 points for Florida State was a question that was given or posted in the chat earlier in the show. I think it was last hour. Thought about it during the break. Gonna go over.
Okay. How many of those points are in garbage time?
Doesn't matter. I went over the 9.5.
Okay.
I went over the 9.5. I gotta believe they'll be able to dial something up, as I said, a little bit more than what we've seen with the elusiveness and overall mobility of Brock Glenn. I hope Brock, he talked about having those other starts. Obviously, those didn't go well. I've described them before as fairly untenable situations. The game against Georgia, in which the opt-outs were plentiful, and of course the emergency start that he got in the ACC championship game, which, would you have liked to have seen him play better? Yes. Was it fair to find out 4 hours before kickoff that you're starting a game? Not really.
Should you have had a plan for him in case your concussed quarterback was not able to go?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So, that was a tough one as well. A toughie, as I like to say. But I would say that Brock talking about those experiences helping him out, I don't know that we know that just yet. That's another thing that we'll learn. He said he thinks it will. He was asked about it today, having started other games, tough games at that. Does that help you? He says yes. Stands to reason that it would, maybe. He specifically cited the speed of the game. That part of it I would agree with.
You would have an appreciation for the highest level of speed. Yes.
Yeah, the fact that that you got to see Georgia repeatedly do an awful number to your offensive line. Yeah, you got to see speed. You got to see how quickly guys close on footballs. You got to see how good their linebackers are. Clemson's got similar linebackers, in particular a star, obviously, in Carter. But that just serves to piss me off even more when I watch them play, because I'm like, one of these days, see Nakobe Dean making all those tackles on Sunday against the Bucks?
He liked us, Nakobe Dean, way back when. I believe that was Willie's time here.
Really good player.
Yeah.
Ferocious. Triggers, fast, violent. Someday, I can dream, buddy. Someday.
Oh, man. Well, when we won the second Super Bowl, you had 3 heat-seeking missiles.
You
had Devin White,
who had his best season by far that year.
Levante. Well, actually, had 4.
Yeah.
Winfield and then Whitehead.
Yeah.
All those guys. I mean, no regard for their body.
No, it was great. Well, I mean, that's how you play the game. Unfortunately, that's just what it is. I mean, it is a violent collision sport, and that's just what you kind of have to do. Right? I mean, that's where it's at. Missed it. Let's get to it. Let's see. What am I missing out on? Is that from Sandy? Sandy writes, oh, wait. First, I missed a couple from C Black. Is the 2025 season already lost due to the decommits in this recruiting class? No, but I am beginning to get worried, extremely worried. I have said all along that once you saw some of these decommits begin, that we were in trouble. I don't know how you're going to mitigate that, save for, once again, diving back into the transfer portal. What if 11 beats Clemson? Well, oh, happy days, run down the street naked. Sandy writes, do you think we'll find – we're just hitting sirens over here.
That was the warning for the public. Here comes Cameron, everybody.
I'll just be naked on my back deck.
They call that the devil's deck.
There it is. Do you think we'll finally see the youth movement after Clemson? Our younger players like Joseph, Jones, and Thomas have made plays, but Norvell refuses to start them. You're beginning to already see it, though, Sandy. I will say you're already beginning to see some of this. Thanks for the contribution. Thanks for the questions, everybody. Appreciate you very much. Maybe not in terms of starts. You see some veterans start over some of the younger guys, but those younger guys are beginning to get a lot of reps, and I appreciate that a lot. And I appreciate that he's had a willingness to do it on that side of the ball. Now, I will also say that I'd like to see him become a little bit more, emboldened to do it on the offensive side of the ball. This has seemingly been a hand that was forced at quarterback, right? But I think Wayne McCoy is going to see more reps at wide receiver this week. I'm going by Mike Norvell's comments today that the reason they have him back there returning punts, which he needs to do a better job of.
We don't coach that at all.
Apparently not. But the point would be, my man said that the reason he's getting more reps as a punt returner has to do directly with how much better he's gotten as a receiver. So that tells me he's trying to tell you that he's going to play him more. I think he's going to get more reps at wide receiver.
How many GD times do we have to watch a guy run up like he's going to catch the ball, panic, and then start jumping up and down and pointing and telling his gunners or blockers to get out of the way at the last moment? How many different players need to do this before we start to say that we suck at coaching punt returning.
I don't know how that could be, Tom, because we coach the hell out of it every day in practice for too many reps.
And I think that's you agreeing with me that we are some bunch of tentative suckers when it comes to going up and catching the football. Catching the football.
Here's what makes no sense about it. Now, I'm going to concede that is easier said than done. I also am not on a full scholarship to Florida State to play football. And I watch football everywhere, and I see people catch the punts all over. They catch them. Every game I tune into, people running up making catches. And you want to know why? And this may be just a tad sarcastic. It's because there are rules in place that say that nobody can touch you. Now, you might get hit, and that'll be a penalty. And it'll be your ball and a 15-yard penalty. And the idea of getting blown up while your head is staring at the sky sucks. But the rule is in place so that you cannot get hit. So if you call for a fair catch on a short punt and you realize there is no return to be had, you're protected. Wave your hand and go catch the effing ball, because if it bounces, we're losing 30, sometimes 40 yards. Go catch the ball. Your number one job is to go catch the ball. I'd like you to be aggressive about returning it. I'd like you to make an effort to catch it and then make somebody miss in a phone booth the way that Greg Reed did. It'd be great. But if you're not an elite punt returner, at least be a really elite punt catcher. You got to do that.
Well, we had a couple of guys the last handful of years that could do that, but I don't think they were coached into being able to do that. Keon Coleman was just naturally gifted. I don't think they came here and spent a lot of time on refining his skill set of catching punts.
And he was just such a good athlete.
And Pittman was good at it too.
Yeah.
But and that guy came in capable of doing that. So who have we cultivated that can play it like an outfielder, runs down a fly ball? Because you're right. There is no danger to your body if you just go.
You wave your hand, go catch the ball. It's not hard at all. Not for a big-time athlete, not for an elite player, not for somebody at this level. Go catch the ball, and the rule is in place again. You're safe. You're perfectly safe.
The best want the ball in that position.
Yeah, so frustrating, buddy. Wake up Warchant tonight?
Wake up Warchant tonight, 6 o'clock, I do believe.
Good work out of you. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you, as always. We'll talk to you tomorrow on a Redemption Thursday. Peace.